Shalom, brothers and sisters. What a day.
Shalom.
Hello.
What a day. What a day. What a day, brothers and sisters. You are here with the righteous reactions from the Commandment Keepers Church. We are going to have a blast today, brothers and sisters. We're going to get right into our first video. Okay, we will not hold you up.
That's not how this shit works. It's real love, but you can't marry me with no fucking Walmart ring.
Marry you? You tripping over a motherfucking Walmart ring?
Bro, I'm not finna wear these fucking rings. You're not marrying me
Real
with no
love
fucking
is
Walmart.
real love. Fuck is you talking about,
See,
bro?
but that's not how this shit works. It's real love, but you can't marry me with no fucking Walmart
I
ring.
can marry you with whatever I want to marry you with, as long as it's genuine love, bro.
No.
I'm fucked up right now. I ain't got shit going on.
You got me 2 rings from Walmart asking me, do I want to get
The
married?
2 for 20. Fuck is you talking about? So you can swap them out. Ain't nobody doing that. Ain't nobody doing that.
2 for 20.
Who you know swapping out their red rings? Come on now, I care about you.
You don't.
And you throwing this shit in my face because I ain't got the money right now?
Bare minimum. You did the bare minimum when you bought these fucking rings.
Because I ain't got the
You
money
trying to
right
make
now.
it seem
This
like
how
I'm
motherfuckers
crazy.
do.
I'm not crazy.
This how
Walmart
motherfuckers-
rings is diabolical. To get 2 fucking Walmart rings, that's fucking diabolical.
You said, bro, this shit is, bro.
You making it seem
beyond
like
me.
I'm ungrateful. I'm not ungrateful. I'm not wearing no
You
fucking
making it
Walmart
seem like I'm
rings.
just some broke ass nigga or something.
I'm not
I'm
even
trying my
saying
best
that, but
for this.
bitch, you couldn't even go put some shit on layaway and tell me you got the ring for later.
I'm
or
gonna
something?
lay away some shit with no fucking money.
Like,
I ain't got no fucking money right now. And Trump just cut the EBT.
I don't give
Fuck
a
is
fuck
wrong
about
with
none of
you?
that shit, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm irritated. I'm hot.
I
Like,
don't get no fuck.
just
Well, brothers and sisters. Well.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. That was a
Whew.
lot.
Well, I apologize for the language, but we are in the real world here, brothers and sisters. So, first question. First question is we have a couple of questions here. First question is who's right and who's wrong here? Is the brother not trying hard enough here? Should he had waited? Or is the sister right here? Is the love contingent on, hey, you making a sacrifice with your finances? Who's right here, brothers and sisters? Should it matter how much a man pays for a wedding ring?
Okay. I'm going to say no. Yes and no. I'm a yes and no. So, no, it shouldn't matter how much you pay for the ring because, like he said, it doesn't matter. If I love you, right? However, you're not supposed to be marrying nobody until you're able to take care of them and provide for them. So, I'm going to assume he's living in her house and not her the other way around. He also said, what you think I am? Some broke A.N.? Then he says, I ain't got no money. So maybe you shouldn't be getting married right now if you can't provide for the woman there because the Bible tells you that you need to be able to do that. And so maybe not right now because you're not able to do that. And maybe you should have your own stuff first so that you can provide for her. But at the same time, she was going a little too hard. I mean, he did get her 2 rings. I mean, he got you 2. He got you, and he did it on sale. So he was thinking, so he got you the 2 for 20. So I wouldn't be mad at no Walmart rings. I mean, to be honest with you, I probably would lose it anyway. So I wouldn't be mad at it.
Okay.
But she
So
went a
you
little too crazy.
okay. So is she justified here according to you?
No, because they shouldn't be living like that anyway if they can't be married. Because you shouldn't be laying down with people anyway. So obviously, laying down with somebody, you living together like you married. So why should it matter if he gets you a Walmart ring, a Cracker Jack ring, $1,000 ring? It shouldn't matter because you're already living as a married couple. So the ring really don't mean nothing at this point.
Okay. All right. Let's get Angelique in here. What do you think, sister? Did she go too far here? Is she justified here? Who's right or wrong?
She did go too far. I could see how she would be upset about wanting a better quality of ring. However, if that's the best he can do at that time, because when I was watching that, I was thinking, sometimes people get like inexpensive rings and then later when they do better, they replace the ring like on an anniversary or something. But she didn't have to do him like that.
So you think so if this is your daughter, what advice are you giving here?
Judging by that, how that conversation was going, it's more going on than just the cost of a ring. I mean, where are their priorities at? What have they really discussed? What kind of life are they trying to set up? What individual goals do they have? And how can they marry them? Not how can they marry their goals together? So if that's the conversation I would have with my daughter, if he's living in her house and the thing is, broke means different things to different people. There's people that make $60,000 a year and they're still considered broke. But then there's people who work at McDonald's that are broke. It's context. There's what context are they getting married in? And like Janae was saying, they're already living together and doing what they do. I don't think it's bad for a woman to have standards. What is bad is how she was talking to him about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's my opinion. She did go too hard on him. It shouldn't matter how much the ring costs. But again, to me, just the way that whole interaction went, they have a whole lot more going on than just that wedding ring. That relationship is probably extra toxic.
It certainly sounds like it could be.
Yeah, for real.
Certainly sounds like it could be. Karan, jump in here, brother. Who's right or who's wrong here? Was the sister right here? Or was the brother right here? Is she justified?
No, I don't think she's justified for for tripping like that. But I think the brother could have held off on it, if he knows his woman enough to know, 2 for $25. He didn't have to get that ring. He could have held off and got something better later at a later time when he had more money. But I really think, like they said, I agree with both sisters. What they said, they're already living like they're married, and I believe that him actually taking that step to get her that ring shows that he wants to be with her for a longer time. And I think they have some relationship issues that they need to work out. But I'm happy that brother is trying to, prolong that relationship as far as we can see, because a lot of times men in our communities are not looking to get married at all.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So the next question is a woman who cares about the price of a wedding ring, is she considered a gold digger?
I don't believe so. I mean, the price, I think more like the quality, because a lot of the times you spend your money on what you care about. So him going to Walmart spending $25, it's like, it seems to her like as if I suspect from how she reacted, he probably thinks that he doesn't value her enough to get her a better ring, and just went to Walmart and got whatever. But I know from his reaction, he probably thought more of it than that. And like he said, he's probably going through something financial, and he felt like he was pressured through like this culture of like getting a wing. You know what I'm saying? Like getting the fanciest ring. And he probably just wanted to do something for what he had. But I don't believe she had gold digger intentions.
Great point. Let me get some of the sisters in here. Is a woman who cares about the price of a ring, is this a gold digger? If this is your son, what advice are you giving him here? If you are giving advice to your son, what is the advice you're giving here, ladies?
If it were my son, I'd be having a conversation with him that's deeper than a wedding ring.
Okay.
I would be curious, and I'm not saying motive in a bad way, but I don't want to say motive. I would be questioning the timing of getting married, because it doesn't seem like either one of them are in a position. They probably do have relationship things that they need to work on. So that's what I would be talking about to my son about, is how he envisions his marriage and his wife. And some men marry women for different reasons. So I would be checking in with my son for the reason, like is he worried that she's going to put him out? Are they fighting? Because sometimes guys propose because they don't want to lose the woman, and they know she wants to get married. And sometimes she wants to get married. So I would really be having a deeper conversation with my son about the timing of the marriage, especially if his focus needs to be towards making his relationship healthy and getting himself stable, financially stable. because we don't know if that guy is working or not, because he said at the end of the video something about Trump cutting food stamps. So I'm assuming he's either not working or has a job that is paying him a wage that qualifies him to make food stamps, which there's nothing wrong with that.
Sure.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there would be a larger conversation with my son to be had.
About that. That's a great point, sister. You made some fabulous points. Janae, jump in here. Is a woman who cares about the price of a wedding ring, is she considered a gold digger? If this is your son and you see this, what advice are you giving him?
Well, no, I don't think she's necessarily a gold digger. I just like what Karan was saying. I think she feels like she has more value than a $10 ring because he got you two. So, and he said 2 for 20. So I think that was probably the issue because Walmart does have more expensive rings. So it's not really that it came from Walmart. And if it was my son, I would ask him, like, where are your priorities? Because why are you buying something on sale that is supposed to mean something? You know, people say that the ring represents your relationship and how you value it, right? So I would be talking to him, like Sister Angelique said, about a deeper conversation, like, what's going on? What's going on with your finances? Maybe you need to focus on a job right now. And are y'all, my question I would need to know is like, which I probably would know, but are they living together? Are they not living together? What's going on there? And then I would also want to know, like, I just want to know his mindset. Like what Karan was saying, like, or sorry, I think it was Angelique, like, are you going to put me out? Is that, so let me marry you because I don't want to get put out, or let me marry you because we're fighting right now. Like, do you really want to marry her? And why are you with a woman that gets so angry like that anyway? So what type of woman have you chosen that would cuss you out like that? That's obviously some toxicity going on there because she reacted totally wrong. Like she could have reacted a little bit more gentle. She didn't need to be screaming and cussing him out and calling him all kind of names and stuff. She could have said something different. You know, I thank you. I appreciate the gesture, but maybe this is not the right time for you to be spending money on a ring when you aren't doing what you normally do. And I know, like, he probably feels emasculated even more now because he's already not able to provide right now. And he wanted to let her know that even though I'm not able to provide, I still want this relationship and I still want you. And then she comes and starts yelling and screaming and cussing him out. So I kind of feel bad for him a little bit. But at the same time, I get why she was upset.
So you understand her perspective. Okay. Well, then let me ask this. Okay. Do we as Black and brown people, do we put too much weight on the tradition of marriage, which is the ring, the big celebratory wedding, the documents? Do we put too much on that? We've been indoctrinated into this European way of marriage. We're talking about the ring, the celebratory event. We're talking about the paperwork. Is a marriage less significant without those things?
I would say, I'm not speaking for myself, but I would say on a general standpoint, yes, I think every culture here in America puts way too much emphasis on these weddings. They've been going debt on weddings. Like, you shouldn't be going in debt on a wedding because that's just one day. Like, you spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on a dress, on a venue, on a cake. Like, you don't need to do all that. Like, you don't. Like, if you really love somebody, you can just have a small celebration and be married. Like, why? What are you throwing this lavish party for? Going into debt for it? I'm talking about these marriages be 30,000, and people be like, "Oh, 30,000, that's good." Just to get married when you already love this person, that's just a little too much for me personally. So I wouldn't do that. So I do think that that part is valued almost more than the marriage, and that's probably why the marriage doesn't really last here in America like that, because it's built on this foundation of having this lavish life. Okay, so after you have this $30,000 wedding or $500,000 wedding that you saved all this money for and went in debt for, now you got to go to the real world after this day is over. So now we're in the real world and we're back at home in our little 2-bedroom apartment or 1-bedroom apartment or studio apartment after we just lived like kings and queens. And now we got to scrape to pay our rent and all of this. So I think, yes, for sure, it's way too much emphasis. I wouldn't necessarily say in the Black community, but definitely in America's society for sure.
This John. Okay, that's a good point. Let me get Sister Angelique here. What, Sister, is the marriage less significant without the traditional event, the ring and the paperwork? What do you think? You're on mute, Sister. We can't hear you.
Repeat the question one more time, please.
Yeah. Do we as Black and brown people have we been indoctrinated into the concept of marriage in the way of marriage means paperwork, it means a celebratory event, it means ring. Do we have we embraced a toxic side of marriage as Black and brown people?
Thinking about today's culture, I do believe it's toxic. And I was just talking with my friend about this today. We were talking about how women are, a lot of women, these are never blanket statements, a lot of women now emphasize and stress the ring because of how they've been treated in the past. And so there's kind of like this, not kind of, there's this whole movement, if you will, of, well, I'm not giving up the cookie or anything until we get married. You know what I mean? Because of all of the games that people have played, and they have been gaslit into believing that, oh, well, you should have known who you were getting, that, that person was trash. If the relationship goes bad for you, or if the marriage goes bad for you, then you should have chose better. So I think culturally we have gotten to a toxic mindset with marriage because of just the way dating and things like that have gone. Do I think it is traditionally toxic? I don't. What I think about is in the Bible, we didn't get married. We didn't need paper back in the Bible to get married. We live in these times now where, for legal reasons and because the government wants their paper, we have to, make it official. And it is important, to be in covenant is important. It's not, the piece of paper doesn't make the covenant. The covenant is important without the piece of paper. However, for the purposes of being on, this earth and all that, it does legitimize the relationship. So I do think it's important. I do think it's important to have that. And it is important because it's not so much about the document, it's about it's what it symbolizes. And the marriage, the ring and the marriage license both symbolize the effort and the commitment and the agreed upon covenant that we're going to do this thing, because that's steps. Like to go get a marriage license, that's steps. You can't even get married the same day. You got to wait 3 days after you get the license to go get married. So that's something that happens in steps. So even though you see marriage and all that glamorized and all of that, it's more about the tradition of it, and the covenant looks like steps now. And I think that gets lost in this whole toxic culture that we have going on of, I'm not giving up nothing until I get married because, these men play too many games. So there's a lot. It's not as complicated, but it is also complicated. So no, you don't need the marriage license to make the covenant. But right. it does legitimize it. That's the follow through. That's what the follow through looks like. So I would say that it is important.
You said something that I wanna drill into. You talked about sisters saying, hey, there's certain levels I'm not going to go to. There's certain things I'm not going to do until there's a ring on my finger. The question that I want to pose to brothers and sisters is, should a woman be a wife before actually getting a ring? Should she live out as a wife? Should she act as a wife? Should she do the duties of a wife before she actually gets the ring? Or is that reserved? Hey, once I get the ring, then I'll do certain, and we're not talking about sexually. We're talking about everything outside of that. What do you think, Sister Angelique?
I'm gonna just be 100. No, women should not be doing all of the wifely things. When you do that, the way you behave in a relationship, you set the tone. And so if you're doing all these, it's like, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? And it's not about the sexual part or the benefits of being in a relationship, but people do. They live as married people, and men get comfortable. A lot of men get comfortable with women just performing all of the duties of being a wife, benefiting from the companionship, but not really wanting to put like the emotional labor, the emotional effort, the relationship building part,
Mm,
non-sexual effort, because he's already getting it. And so when you set the tone like that, then the man doesn't think that he needs to do anything else, because
mm,
you're giving without being met halfway. And I think that's what it really boils down to, is meeting each other halfway. So
that's a fabulous point.
that's what I would say. So no, none of the sexual stuff. There's stuff you do as a couple anyway. And I've heard
Hmm.
mixed reviews from just
Hmm.
different people I've talked about. Like, you shouldn't
Hmm.
cook for a man before you get married to him, but people
Right,
cook for their roommates and their friends all the time. So I
right.
don't I don't know that that's necessarily a deal breaker for me. But before
Mm,
marriage, it's not, because when you are dating somebody and you're dating to marry,
mm,
there are non-sexual things that happen just as the relationship progresses. You take care
mm,
of each other, and what that looks like depends on whatever the couple's baseline effort is towards each other. That's how
mm,
I feel about it. So no, I don't think
mm.
that women should just flat out give of themselves without there being any reciprocity or any effort uh, from from their partner. That's what I'll say.
Great point, sister. Very, very nuanced. There's some, you made some great points that I reflect on, and I know our audience will also. Brother Karan, what do you think, as a man? Are you looking for a woman to be a wife, to do the wifely duties before you give her the ring, or are you expecting her to say, "Hey," and we're speaking non-sexual, "Hey, there's certain things I won't do until we walk down the aisle." What do you think? Should a woman, when you're looking for a wife, are you looking for a woman who's acting like a wife already, or, uh, you know, can that be reserved until after the ceremony?
Um, I believe if we're courting each other for marriage, then we should both be doing actions that are reflective of a husband and a wife. Go lay down. I believe you should you should be able to trust the other person enough to reveal who you are and to be able to show them that love that they would expect in a relationship, you know, non-sexually, obviously, but like taking her out on a date, you know what I'm saying? Buying her things, or a woman giving you a massage, or you giving her a massage if she's feeling bad, like, or just being there for somebody to talk to when they need it, uh, having them be able to vent to you, a woman, if she's feeling emotional, having her be able to vent to you, and the multitude of things that come in a relationship.
So you say, great point, brother. Thank you, Dwada. You say both the brother and sister should actually be, if they're in the courting, and we're speaking of somebody who's what they would call dating, courting to marry or dating to marry, right? You're saying that the brother and the woman should be putting on display the husbandly ways and duties, as well as the sister. Am I correct on that, brother?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I don't believe that if you're focused on this woman or this man, you're probably not talking to somebody else. And if you are, if it gets to that point where you believe that this could be marriage, then you make those steps, and I would say it's not going to start out like that, day one, day two, day three, even a few months into it. But as you work up, there's boundaries that get set in place, and then um, I guess you guys get closer, and then things evolve from where they were before until the marriage eventually happens.
Mm.
So yeah.
Okay, that's a good point there, brother. That's a good point. Janae, jump in here. What do you think here? Should a sister who's in the courting phase, should she act and operate her function as a wife prior to the ring, prior to the event, prior to taking on the last name? Or should she be reserved and say, hey, there's certain things that only a wife once I get the ring, then I'll do certain things.
Um, yes, because there's only things you can do when you're a wife. There's certain things you can't do when you're just courting. Because if we're you shouldn't be living together, number one. So I can't do these things that a wife would do because I'm not living with you. So of course not. You shouldn't be coming over to his house doing his laundry and all that. So you don't get those types of privileges. I'm not your wife. We're still courting, but I do think that the Bible says that blessed is the man that finds a wife. So therefore, the woman has to already know how to be a wife before she is technically a wife, right? So I think we should still be learning the properties of what a wife is and knowing how to be that and conducting ourselves as wives. So if we're out in public, I'm not going to embarrass him. I'm still going to be his crown. I'm still going to give him that respect. I'm still going to do those types of things. But there's certain things that I can't do until I am married, and I won't do. And like Sister Angelique said, because why would I marry you? You're doing everything for me right now. So that's where a lot of these long-term relationships that people have, and they be like, "Oh, he'll never marry me. We've been together for 5 years, and he hasn't proposed because you're doing everything." So to him, you're already married. I don't need to, because what comes with that marriage, what we just talked about, this extravagant wedding that I have to pay all this money for, and so a man is looking at that. I'm not about to do that. I already have you. I'm good, and that's what they'll tell them. Like, we're already good. We're good. We're already good together. We don't need anything extra. So I think that as women, you should already be a wife. As a man, you should already be a husband if you're going to even go into the courting stage. But today's society doesn't teach you that. They teach you find somebody that you think it looks good and has the material things you want, and then you just go and give your bodies to each other and do whatever, and not actually spend the time to get to know somebody. So if we spent the time to actually get to know somebody and like really value marriage for what it is and not just give it up easily, then I think we wouldn't have such a high divorce rate.
That's a great point. Now, is this duplicitous?
Yes.
Is this reciprocal for the man? So the man, the things that a woman would be expecting from a man as a husband, paying for everything, even protecting, is that reciprocal? Is he supposed to operate the same way? How should he act?
Well, those two particular things I don't think is just for husbands. I think that's for a
Okay.
man, period. A man should protect women and children. I think that's his job as a man. So I don't think you're a man if you're like, she's not my wife, so I'm not going to protect her. Or, it is your job. If you're courting a woman, you have to show that you can provide for her. So you should be paying for her, and you should be not paying her separate bills at her separate house, nothing like that. But if we're going on a date, yeah, you're the man, you should be paying. I'm here to be the passenger princess, and you're the one to take me where I want to go. So I feel like that yes and no. I don't think that he should do certain things husbands do. Like, I'm not going to come and fix your car and pay for your car and pay for this and pay for that, but I'll pay for our dates. I'll pay for when you're with me. I'll pay for whatever that needs. If she asks for something like, hey, I need some help with this, maybe I'll give you a little help, but I'm not going to give it all to you. So you said, oh, I'm short on this. I need a couple $100 for my rent. Okay, well, I'll give you 50. So figure it out. Like, so with that
Okay.
aspect, if he sees a bug in her house, I would expect that he would kill it, because that's going to make me say, okay, this is a man worth me submitting to because he's willing to protect and provide for me. But if you can't show me that you can do those things, then I'm not about to go further with this.
Okay. And the last part of the question before we go into our next topic. If you are at this brother's house, you're not married yet, you're at this brother's house, you all are, let's say, having takeout, right? Pizza, watching a movie, it's starting to get late. You go home. Do you clean up before you go home? Do you take
Yeah,
everything, wash the plates, the cups, put that away? Do you actually just leave everything there?
I That's a personal thing for me. I'm not about to just make a mess in somebody's house and just leave. So if I'm even at my friend's house, I would clean up. So maybe that's just a personal character trait for me. But yes, I think if you're there, you ate there, you're, maybe do the dishes together. I don't know. But for me, I'm not just gonna just leave a mess. Like, okay, bye. Like that's rude to me. Like you came over here, we spent time with me, you made a mess, and then you're just like, okay, see you later, bye. So no, get your butt up in there and go wash them, bust them suds, and clean up them plates. Yeah, absolutely, you should clean up behind yourself.
All right. Let's get Sister Angelique in here. Sister, if you're in that situation, eating pizza, carry out, whatever the case may be, before you leave, do you wash the dishes? Do you wipe down the table? Or do you say, hey, that's reserved for when I'm married?
Where are we eating this pizza at?
At the house, watching TV, watching a movie. It's getting late. You're heading home. You all are not being intimate, so you're headed home. What do you do before you leave? Or do you just leave? Hey, you know what? I had a good time. We'll talk.
I haven't thought about it that deeply before. From personally, I'm just in the habit of cleaning up behind myself, no matter whose house it is. So I would probably clean up my mess and not leave because I wouldn't want somebody to do that to me. And I don't think there's anything wrong with cleaning up behind yourself. Now, if he says no, it's okay, leave it, I'll take care of it, then that's different. But I'm going to clean up behind myself at least, and probably throw his plate away too, because I'm already going to the kitchen or wherever I'm going to throw and I do that anyway with my friends. So I don't think there's anything. I don't think that's a wifely duty. I think just don't be messy.
Yeah, you're making a great point, sister. And I'll say, I know men, we test women, and that's one of the tests we do, to see if you'll clean up. So that would be something that a man would do, to see, is this a woman that would be clean, that can help us be clean? Would she take my plate, take my cup, her plate and cup, wash it, put it away, wipe down the table? So, I think men, the same way women test men, we do the same thing. Ultimately, I believe, brothers and sisters, that of course, there's certain things that should be reserved for marriage, but I think you have to, if sisters are not getting married, and I think it's because they're not showing they could be wives. And I think you have to show that you can be a wife in order to get a man to want to marry you. I think you have to do that. And I believe the brother should be doing the same thing. I don't believe there should be any difference. Of course, the bills, right? We understand that part, right? Because our bills will be together. But how a husband is supposed to operate, I think he should operate that way before to alleviate, any concerns she may have. So I think if I was talking to a sister of mine and she was courting to marry or dating to marry, I would suggest that she does that, the very things that you would do as a wife to prove to him that he would be making a good choice. And vice versa. So totally, I agree with you all 100%. I also believe that we have been indoctrinated with the way marriage is supposed to be, with the ring and the paperwork, and I'm not opposed to doing it. The event, even though I believe what the Bible says, you're married well before you get that document, right? If you've been intimate, and you're being intimate consistently, according to the Bible says that is an act that's reserved for married people. So we're telling God we're married. If we're being intimate consistently, that would be considered marriage in the Bible. And even the government knows that because they call it common law marriage. So if you've been together for a certain amount of time, you're living together, sharing the same space, they consider you married, common law. So I think that those things are ancillary. I don't think it should be the primary thing, but I also could see if a sister would say, hey, I want to have a ceremony. I want to have a ring. I would tell a brother, hey, do that. Even though I don't really believe in it. I don't really believe in it because I believe, when we were slaves, you can't tell me that we weren't married because we didn't walk down the aisle and have this huge celebration. I couldn't put a ring. We would jump over the broom, and that would be considered, as marriage. So I believe that we have kind of been indoctrinated into that because there are sisters who say, hey, this ring should be, 3 months of you saving up. They have a number actually on how they say however much money a man makes in 3 months, the check, or excuse me, the ring should be tantamount to that. So I totally disagree with that, but I would be willing to do it if I was with a woman who says, "Hey, I want those things." I would be willing to do it because I'm not opposed to it. I don't think it's wrong to do it, but I believe it starts off on the wrong foot totally. So that's great points, though. That is very good points that you all brought up about that. Let's go into our next topic. Okay, we're talking about priorities. Okay, listen to this video, brothers and sisters. We're talking priorities here.
Who you putting first, your son, your father, or your husband?
My son. I'm putting my son first, my father, then my husband.
My son, and then my daddy, and then my husband. My son,
And then who?
my father, then my husband.
Type shit. Why the husband last? Let me know something.
Because regardless if me and him together or not, my daddy and my son gonna be there. So fuck it.
And your son.
Son and husband, or my son, my husband, then my daddy.
My son, my father, my husband. Yeah.
Okay, why y'all put husband last? Let me know something.
I love my daddy and I love my son. Okay.
I birthed my son. Why wouldn't he be first? And my daddy, like that's my daddy. Come on, you my husband.
Husband, son, father. I feel like if I get married, my husband is supposed to be like the head of the house. That's supposed to be, the leader or whatever. And then, yeah.
So the question is, brothers and sisters, who comes first, right? Child, spouse, or parent? If there was a wreck, if you were on a boat and there was a wreck, who are you saving? It's your child, your husband, your father. Who do you save? Let's get Quran in here first. Who comes first here? Child, spouse, parent.
I mean, in that scenario, I think my wife would probably be mad at me for saving her over the child. But from what I've read in the Bible, I believe that your spouse should be the most important person in your life, other than Christ and God. And then probably your child, then your father, because it says that a man shall leave his father and his mother and cleave unto his wife, meaning that God put that in place, that a man shall leave his father and his mother to cleave unto his wife, and in that thereby should be the most important person in your life from then on. Then you have kids, and you raise up these kids, and I believe a lot of marriages fail actually because they put the kid before their spouse, and I see wives a lot of times they would lie to their husbands to protect their children from the wrath of their husband, or the kid is dressing up as a female, and they're not telling the father. The father finds out, he gets mad at the mother because she's prioritizing the kid. And I believe the father would be last because you made this kid and you brought him into the world. You need to take care of him, or you would take care of your father. So I would say spouse, kid, then father.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point. If you have a child, what advice are you giving your child in this scenario, right? Spouse, child, parent. What advice are you giving to your son or daughter here, ladies?
Okay, so for me, this is kind of tough. I definitely would say probably it's either my husband or my child first. It depends on the scenario, and it also depends on the age of the child. Because if we're on a boat, hopefully my husband should be saving me because I can't swim. So I will hope that he saves me, and then we can save the baby together. So that's kind of how I feel. But like Quran was saying, the Bible says, and you got to follow God's word, right? Your spouse comes first. So I think it just kind of just depends on the scenario for me. Definitely, father's at the bottom. Sorry, Dad, but you at the bottom. Um, but I would like to think that I would save my husband first, but because I love children so much, I don't know if my instinct to try to save a child over a grown adult um, would take over in that situation. Just being real and thinking about how I would react, because sometimes you don't know how you would react in a situation. In a perfect world, yes, I want to say my husband first. That's me in a perfect world, right? But if I'm really in this scenario and I can see that my son's drowning, my husband's drowning, who's closer to me is probably going to, be a factor. Um, that's probably going to go into it. I'm not going to swim past my son to save my husband, or vice versa. I'm not going to swim past my husband, or yeah, to save my son. So vice versa. But I don't know. I think that for sure I would want you to go for your spouse first because that's what God says.
Okay, great point. So, Sister Angelique, what type of advice would you be giving here? Okay, you saw the video, you heard how the youth sees things, and we want to talk about why the youth sees things like that. What type of advice? What do you see in this scenario, Sister?
Well, in addition to what Janae and Karan already said, it is biblical to leave your parents and cling to your spouse. Something else I was thinking about is saving your spouse first too, because your kids are going to grow up and leave the house. And then it's just you and your spouse, right? So you got to take care of each other first, because you're the parents of the kids, but you're each other's spouses first, and your job is to protect each other even from your kids. And when not in a bad way, but just like how parents say, boy, don't talk to your mother like that, or don't talk to your father like that. So you would save your spouse first, and then you would save your child because you birthed them. And I probably would want to save my child first, but I would save my husband first, and then save my child, and then save my father.
Great point, sister. You made some great points there. Now the question is, we saw, right, and we intentionally chose a video with that was younger people because they are the future, and you can clearly see what's going on in our community. And the question is, why don't Black women, Black and brown women, why don't they value marriage anymore? That's the question. Why? What are we seeing here amongst the young people? Jump in here, Janae.
So yeah, I noticed that too. They all were like, husband last. One of them said, because I love my son and I love my daddy, but my husband, I was like, whoa. So I just feel like I hate, it's like beating a dead horse, but social media really tore a hole in our fabric of culture in the social in Black community, because that's what kids really think that that's what life is like, is what they see on TV and what they see on social media, and trying to achieve these builder bodies, and like, I just want to have this perfect body and I want to have this hair, and that's what they focus on. Everything is what you can see. And so there aren't very many things that focus on what's on the inside. So this is a shallow world, and this is all that they think about. They don't care about that. Black girls are being raised mostly by single women, and these single women are bitter and hurt because they've been hurt time and time again by a man. So at this point, like, you'll hear them say, all N-words are trash. They say that all the time. All men are trash. All men are trash. If you keep hearing that over and over and over and over again, that's what you're gonna think. So if I'm raised that way, then most likely that's what it is. And they're asking, you can tell by the way the girls talk that this is not educated young ladies. They're not educated, so they're not thinking about that. These are people that are probably in the ghetto or the hood. So if they're in the ghetto or the hood, usually inner city families are broken families and broken homes with multiple baby mamas and baby daddies and all of those types of things going on. So it's kind of like survival, because I think one of them, like when she was saying, like, my father and my son are going to be there, but my husband's probably not. So I think that's kind of a mindset. I've heard that many times over before. Like, well, they're my family, so you don't even view your husband as your family when that is the family. So like it's just kind of odd, but I think that social media really did a number on us, and it continues to wreak havoc in our community.
Great points. Great points. Jump in here, Sister Angelique. What are you thinking?
I believe that to add to what Janae was saying too, when the young lady was speaking, it didn't sound like she had an expectation that her husband was even going to be around long. And that was the first thing I got, and that is, it goes beyond, it goes beyond, men being trash, men being viewed as trash. It's this expectation because a lot of people are raised in single mother households, or even if they're not single mothers, there's a high traffic of, revolving relationships, because people don't heal before they get into the next relationship, and they just repeat the cycle of toxicity and then abandonment with different people. And so, when someone is around, there's beef, there's, baby denials, or, lack of, there's hesitation to help, and paternity questions. And I'm not trying to make it sound stereotypical. It really it really goes back to a mindset of, the way that a lot of these women are raised. And it is not just rooted in not thinking a husband is going to stick around long. It's this mindset of not depending on a man in the first place. And there's that's why you have, there's a lot of men who are confused, like, should I open the door for her or not? Because you don't open the door and you're a jerk. If you do open the door, you're trying to take away her independence. So there's this whole conflict of do I or don't I? And then I don't necessarily think chivalry is dead. Maybe this is a tangent part of the conversation. I don't necessarily believe that chivalry is dead and that men don't want to get married, or women don't want to get married. There's just this like division, and we're, like Janae was saying, in the media, in movies and TV and songs, there's this tendency to look at men and women as like from birth we're pitted against each other. You got songs where women are, I got some wop wop wop, and that's this is, I'm not going to get what I need from a man anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and use my feminine charm, right, to get what I can get from him, because he's not going to stick around. So it's like this whole us versus them thing, or we're hyper independent and we can't let you hold out our chair, or take our coat, or whatever, or help us with something, because we have to be so independent because we don't need a man in the first place. And so I think, I believe that is what has happened. And a lot of women are not in the mindset of, I don't know that women don't necessarily, they don't not want to get married. I really believe it's just a mindset of an expectation that they won't get married, or that the person that they, date is not going to marry them, or it's just going to be like a baby mama, baby daddy situation. And so people just kind of, they do what they do, and they don't even bother to question what they really want or what the standards are. They just accept, well, I'm not going to get married, and all men are trash. And there are a lot of men that are trash. I'm not saying that. There's a lot of women that are trash too. But I mean, it's almost kind of like college, like when you're a little kid and, you grow up in certain neighborhoods, college is not even in your awareness. I feel like it's like that with marriage for some people now, for some women now. It's like marriage isn't even what you're thinking about. You're thinking about how to get over on somebody, how to take care of your kids, how to basically how to get everything on your own and be successful and independent on your own without a man. And I really just believe that it is deep rooted now, to where it doesn't even get considered that a woman could get married, or that she even wants to get married. And I think that's what a lot of it boils down to.
Wow. That's a great point there, sister. Quran, jump in here, young blood. Why does it seem like in the Black and brown community, the sisters, the women no longer see value in marriage?
Um, I honestly don't believe that sisters don't want to get married. I believe a lot of these sisters want to get married. It's just the men in our community, you know, quite frankly, a lot of them are trash. I mean, from what I see, and the people, especially this younger generation, a lot of these guys are like, but I can't lie, they're getting raised by single mothers. They're uneducated, they're unmotivated. A lot of them are bums. They don't have no goals, no aspirations. They don't know how to be leaders because they don't have enough men in their lives to teach them, this is what you should do. Or they never seen a father in their house, leading the household. They were led by women. They're emotional. They have short tempers. And when it comes down to it, a lot of them aren't ready for responsibility. They're not ready for a marriage. They just want to, a lot of these, at least from what I see from my perspective, they just, they operate as baby daddies and baby mamas. Like they'll have a pregnant female and then they're automatically thinking that's my baby mama instead of that's my, and they'll be together, but they'll refer to each other as baby daddy and baby mama. And that confuses me because y'all are together and y'all are having this baby, but all you guys see each other is as the father of this child. So I think automatically a lot of these people don't see themselves like staying together for a long time. And that comes from the trust too. I don't believe a lot of the women can trust these men because they don't show themselves trustworthy enough.
That's a great point. That's a great point, brother. I would say the culture for sure. I think when you grow up in a single parent home, I think that's really your expectation when you really haven't seen, a healthy relationship or marriage. You don't, it's not that you don't think it can happen, but it's not something you probably think is likely. So I think certainly the brothers, it seems like our women don't have faith in us, really. That's what it looks like to me, and I can't fault them. I really cannot fault them. I think most of the women that probably um, would not be looking forward to it. It probably grew up without a father in the home, as at least 70% of children are growing up without their father in the home in the Black community. So I believe that it's the culture. When you watch TV, you see the Black women are always single, right? They have children, but they're always raising them alone. You see it in the commercials, right? All the commercials, right, have single Black women, right? This is literally what they promote. The movies, right? This is what they promote into our community. They pump this stuff into our community to make it common. So I certainly believe it's the culture that they started paying the food stamps. You could get the food stamps, but you couldn't have a man living in the home, which that was intentional to get the man out of the home to leave the family unprotected, really, and vulnerable. So the government did that intentionally, I believe, because it's very hard, it's difficult, and it's overwhelming for a woman to raise children alone, especially if she has a boy. So I believe mostly it's the culture that we have and the lack of faith that our sisters have in the men, and I really can't blame them. I cannot blame them. And I want to ask this: we are living in the time where with the most feminists, right? Even though feminism started years ago, the feminist movement, the fruit of the feminist movement is here. Okay, there's more women who would consider themselves feminist, young sisters all the way up, who would consider themselves feminists. And I want to know, how did this younger generation of women become feminists? How did this happen? Let's hear from the sisters here. You all would know best. When you hear something like that, right? And all the sisters, really, this is common amongst sisters. How did they become feminists to this degree?
Can you repeat the entire question, please?
Yeah. So how did the younger generation, how did we get to a point where we're living in a time with more feminists than, young women as feminists, sisters as feminists, in the history of civilization. How did the sisters become like this?
The independent woman movement, I would say, because that's basically what a feminist can be, right? It's kind of what it starts out as. And then when you're a lot of people don't like to be like, it's kind of like a survival mode almost, like, like you're in a situation you really don't want to be in, so then you try to make it sound good because I have to live in this situation, so I want it to be good, right? I don't really think deep down every a woman wants to be independent and by herself. That because they grow older, and as they grow older, then they start reflecting like, dang, I wish I would have did these things, where I had a husband in my 20s or my 30s. Now I'm 50 and 60 and I'm alone. I don't think any woman really wants that once they get there. So I think that the feminist movement did come from being independent and saying, I can do this by myself. I don't really need any of this. And then we have social media. And so, like I said, these kids really believe what's on social media. That's what they think is happening. People only show you the good parts of their life. Oh, I'm independent. I get my own bag. I'm so happy. When really they're dying on the inside. They're sad. They're lonely. They cry at night. You don't see that part. They're not going to post online them crying at night and hating themselves and wishing they could do something better. That's why they're out here mutilating their bodies. That's self-mutilation. That's a disease. It's a mental health disease where you want to cut your body. So they don't look at they dolled it up and called it plastic surgery. You just changed your complete face and your nose, your eyelashes, your eyelids, your cheekbones. You took out ribs. Something is wrong. And nobody's calling that out. They just think that, oh, she's just really happy. No, she's not happy. She's not happy. A woman's nature is to be in a family. Like, that's our nature. We're helpers. So we want somewhere where we can help, where we can put our hands at and where we can help and grow a family. So when you can't do that, like, I know a lot of women who are barren, if you read, when you read in the Bible, they're barren, they don't feel that that's like a scarlet letter almost, because it's like you're not fulfilling your duty as a woman. You can kind of sometimes feel like, am I really a woman? Do I really matter? Then those ideas come in your head and things like that. So I think that's why the younger generation is more feminist, because when I was growing up, we had a lot of songs about being independent. I know we can all think of those songs, right? About doing it on my own. Okay, so now my generation is raising this younger generation. And my generation ain't doing a good job. I'm just gonna put it out there. Y'all suck. Y'all are some terrible parents, and you need to really reel it in. Everybody, you want to be your child's friend, and you're doing a injustice to our entire culture and to our entire society. That's why we have all these YNs rolling around, all these only fangirls. That has to do with parenting. And if there is no parents, absent parents, we have an absent parent, and then the other parent's absent too. Why? Because they have to work. So they're not really there. So they see you maybe at dinner time and that's it. So this is not, these kids are raising themselves. And then there's no discipline because you don't feel like you spend time with your kids. So the time that I do spend with my kid, I don't want to be me disciplining them. I don't want to feel like how my mom made me feel. Like that kind of stuff. It's all about these emotions and stuff. And now you have a society of feminists and YNs.
Great points, great points. And the question is, how do we get to a place where most of the women, especially young women, would consider themselves feminists? How did we get here?
Because there's no guidance from the older women. The older women are in competition with the younger women and not guiding them to be better. They were competing with them and trying to be, the 40 is the new 30 and 40 is the new 20. No, it's not. You're 40 and you need to talk to these young girls and help them and not become whores because they're living in a whore culture. Like, if you go to the store and see the clothes that's there, it's mostly half shirts. Where's the rest of the shirt? I just want to know where the rest of the shirt at, because what's going on? And this is in the little kid section too. This isn't just in the teen, especially in the teen section. Teen section, they ain't got full shirts at all. And a lot of their shorts are very short. The skirts are very short. And this is going down into the toddlers too. And it's really sad that this is the culture that you're raising. So I really think that it has to do with the older women not teaching the younger women. They're teaching them bitterness and to hate men. That's what you're teaching them. So you're not respecting your father. You're not respecting any man at any level. And you're just giving up your body. Like, my body can get me what I want. That's what being taught, instead of teaching them how to actually be wives and how to be modest women.
Okay, you said that you believe it's the older generation. The older
Yes.
generation has discipled sisters into believing this is the right way, this is the correct path. Is that right?
Yes, because when I was growing up, the older women were always telling me better things. Like, you should make sure you go to school, get your education, make sure that you know how to cook, make sure you know how to do this, giving me good advice and proverbs and, old lady wives' tales, and do this. This is how you do that. But that we don't do that. And then when you do try to teach these young girls that, you just don't understand me. That's what you hear. But it has nothing to do with not understanding you. I'm trying to help you become better. So I think that's where we're at, and it's really sad.
That's a good point. Sister
Bring Big Mama back.
do you believe, Sister Angelique, do you believe it's the leadership, the discipleship from the older generation that has ushered these sisters into this way of living?
To a certain extent. I also believe that it's partly rebellion. And you have rebellion from, younger women and some women that are around our age, because you hear a lot of, well, I don't have to put up with that. My grandmother put up with that. I don't have to put up with that, or back in my grandmother's day, they couldn't work and now I can work. So I'm just going to eliminate it. It's almost like, I don't even know if rebellion is the right word, but I do feel like feminism has evolved into straying away from not just tradition, but what it means to be a lady, what it means to be a man. And I'm not even just talking about gender roles, but you have a lot of that too, because when you think about feminism, you also now have trans women in the feminism movement, and you have a lot of things that are tolerated now that I feel like blur the lines of what feminism, what the mindset of what feminism is. You have men talking about, they feel like a woman, and that's feminism for some of them. And then you also have rebellion against the patriarchy. That's what they call it. There's a lot of, well, I don't want to be a lady. I don't want to just stay in the house and cook and clean. And I want to make my own money so that I don't have to do those things. And so there's a desire and a motivation to move away from, I feel like, traditional roles, traditional mindsets. I don't necessarily think that there's anything wrong with being rebellious or wanting to do something that is not the status quo. However, there's a way to do it and still uphold the values of what traditional feminism used to be, which was, equality. We want to be recognized. We want to be seen. We don't want to be treated like second-class citizens and can't work and have our own bank accounts. We want to be, we want to count. And that was the whole original movement. And we have moved, and that's what I mean by rebellion. We have moved so far away from the spirit of that. And now it's morphed into, well, I don't, not only, when it first started, could I not have a bank account without my man? Now I don't need a man. I don't have to worry about a bank account. I don't have to worry about what he's paying for. I don't have to worry about what he's doing. So I do think that there is a lot of, I hate to say like bucking against the system, but that's what it is. That's what it is. And some, things do have to change. I agree that things do have to evolve. But there's a difference between evolution and just straight up destroying what props up what we're supposed to be doing. We should want to, like Janae was saying earlier, there's nothing wrong with being a lady, thinking about what it means to be a lady, just in the context of yourself, not even in relation to men, just in relation to being a woman, and there are ways that we behave and mindsets we have and things we take care of and, ways we dress, feel, act, think, and all of that. I don't believe that modern day feminism has to be a woman, the context of being against a man and being a woman rebelling against a man and what men put in place. I totally agree that we should be able to do whatever we want with our bodies, right? That for sure. However, there are aspects of that conversation where we're having that, and men are controlling that, because men are the ones in the government. There are women in the government too. So there's just I think there's a lot of, I don't want to say confusion, but there just seems to be a lot of there's a lot of things that are misconstrued, and so people act on information that is misconstrued. And feminism, because there are other parties in the feminist movement now, it's just been blurred into a whole bunch of lines that don't have anything to do with the original point of. And so that's what I'm trying to say. Modern feminism is so far removed from the point of how the movement originally started and what motivated it, that we're not even thinking about our rights anymore. Now we just have women in the trans, we have trans women in the feminist movement, which is not what the original point of the movement was about. And that, I'm not saying that to speak out against trans people. I'm just saying that that's not what the point of the original movement was about. We were really just trying to be treated equally, and that's it. So that is what I believe a lot of it is. And it does trickle down from our generation of parents, because you do see things and people let things slide, and we are allowed to do a lot of things and explore things that we weren't back when the movement first started. So I think there are a lot of elements in it, and we've really just strayed away from the original movement and made it a whole bunch of things that it's not, made it about a whole bunch of things it's not about.
Wow, that's a great point. The sister says, hey, the feminist movement has been infiltrated. Someone has infiltrated it and transformed it into something it was not traditionally. It's become something that's destructive. And you have men controlling, even men in the feminist movement, and reaping the benefits of that. So that's wow, that's a great point, great history on there. Okay, let's go into our next let's get into our so diluted. I agree with that. Very diluted. I have another topic here, brothers and sisters. Let's talk about vulnerability. Should men be vulnerable with women? Take a look at this.
It's like a relationship. The day you fall off, that woman ain't interested as you think.
Yeah, once you start complaining and dragging your feet.
She don't want to hear no complaint. The day you come home and think you could be like, baby, I was down, I lost it. She gonna stroke your ego, but she gonna remember that time. You cannot let them see you one time down. The world can't see your head down one time.
Ever. So you don't think you've ever had someone that you really could trust and really open up?
Now, if you want to keep it, now if you want to give somebody else some coochie all the time, you know what I'm saying if you want to bad, I'm just being real.
No, I guess.
You open up to a woman?
Yeah.
Never. No, never.
When's the last time you think you've opened up to a woman?
We don't.
Your whole life,
bro. I'm telling you,
man, got players like I could. Me and him related.
Yeah,
it's our first time meeting.
Yeah,
but
I can tell you guys. There's some connection here.
Oh no,
they gonna tell you can't
because you know why?
But it's a trap.
Because you know why?
I'm trapped like a motherfucker.
No, I'm gonna tell you why. Because once you do, whenever something go down, they're gonna throw it back in your face.
Well, that's
why.
Real.
That's why. So you can't ever.
That's why you cry, because your dad left.
Yeah.
All right, brothers and sisters. So here you saw Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal on this podcast says that a man should never, ever, ever be vulnerable with his woman, right? So we're going to talk about that. Should a man be vulnerable with his woman? Yes or no? Why or why not? What do you think here? Let me hear from a man first. Let me hear from Quran first. Quran, should a man be vulnerable with his woman?
you mean by vulnerable?
I mean, what they meant by it, right? Be vulnerable. That means you're going through something, right? Like that brother. Remember the brother we saw in the video who's telling his wife, his woman, hey, I'm broke. You know, he's being vulnerable. He's pouring himself out there, right? Are there certain things, certain truths that you would not tell a woman? Or should you be completely vulnerable, whatever's going on with you, whatever you're struggling with, talk to your woman about it?
I'll say there are a lot of things you should tell your woman, but there are some things I'm not, like, I would say open up about, especially if I'm feeling emotional. Like, I'd rather go to a man because I feel as though a woman really shouldn't see you like too emotional for real, especially if it's your woman, because women are emotional and they might be emotional because you're emotional, you know? Or if you're going to them like, I just lost $5,000. Like, I think your wife should know that, but don't present it like the man from earlier who's over here, hollering and, whining and kind of acting, a little too emotional. I would say you present it in a way where I messed up and I lost this money, but I'm working towards getting this back, offer a solution, in that scenario, or in just specifically that scenario. Like you say your mom died. Like, I think it's warranted for you to be going through it, emotionally, and to be able to tell your woman that, right now I'm not at my best because someone close to me just passed away, and I'm feeling that spirit of sadness. And I believe she could help you because a lot of women have great emotional control. They deal with their emotions a lot, and she could help you with that. But I think there are some times where, oh, you would say?
Would you cry in front of her?
No.
Why not?
Because I just don't believe my woman should see me crying. I really don't.
Okay.
I really don't cry too often. I mean, I even like in front of my brothers, like it would have to be, I'll probably cry in front of my dad or like my cousin, like my male cousin, like my sisters. I'll tell you, my sister hasn't seen me cry. My mom really hasn't seen me cry. Like, if I'm crying, it's probably going to be alone or with a male friend who I can share that with. Because, us men, we like to give each other solutions. And I feel like my wife might not give me the solution I'm looking for. It may be coming from more of an emotional perspective, And I think a lot of times when I have gone to my mom or something, I haven't gotten the solution I needed. But if I were to go to my dad has always given me a more accurate solution and a more logical perspective that I think I can resonate with, take that with me, and move forward.
Great point, brother. Great point. You're saying, so essentially you said no. You don't believe you can be 100% vulnerable with a woman. You're not comfortable with that, right? You said, yeah, you believe there's certain things you should tell a woman, but you don't feel safe enough to just be 100% vulnerable with a woman, right? Any woman, really.
Yeah, and I believe you as the leader, you should be able to show yourself, in a way where you have control over yourself, even in the most dire situations. Because if the leader's going down, then the whole ship is going down. So you need to show yourself as the stronger vessel and to be able to hold yourself up even when you feel like you may be crumbling.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Let's hear from Raul. Raul, should a man be vulnerable in front of women or with women, his woman? Should he be open with his weaknesses with his woman? What do you think about that, brother? I think you're on mute, brother.
There we go. You can hear me?
Yes, sir.
So honestly, to go back to what Quran said, like honestly, like as the man, like you're known as the leader of the ship. You have everybody on your back, and sometimes when when you show your weaknesses too much, I feel like that'll worry others, maybe even worry your woman. You feel me? And just maintaining that confidence in yourself and maintaining that control of your emotions. I feel like that's better than me just like going to just cry to my woman about all my problems, like babe, I'm broke and I feel like I'm lost. Like if I feel like I'm lost, how is she gonna feel, like. And then also though, like I do feel like there is certain things you could tell your woman, like 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 what Quran was saying, like say if my mother passed, or my grandma passed, and in that scenario, I feel like that's a I feel like I'll be comfortable with telling my woman something like that, because I know that I would still maintain control over my emotions, but like it wouldn't affect me like real world and my like motivation and my drive to get better every day. But talking with somebody about that, I feel like could help for sure. Like something at least in that scenario.
That's a great point. So you saying you believe you really have to hold it together because you're the leader, and if you're losing control of your emotions, it really will spread. It'll spread to the people you're leading. Is that correct, Raul?
For sure, for sure, for sure.
Okay. So would you cry in front of your woman?
I don't think I would ever cry in front of my woman. I will say right now that I have cried in front of a woman, and I've had it used against me. I've had it used against me in like negative ways, and
Mhm.
that's and I feel like that just shows like you just gotta keep your head high. Like when you cry, you look like you lost. You look like you don't know what to do at times, and you don't want to seem like that to the woman you trying to lead and to the family you try to lead, whether it's your family or your woman.
Absolutely. That's a great point, brother. We appreciate your honesty there, your transparency. Let's get the sisters in here. Now, we've heard from the men, right? Now, the question is, should a man be vulnerable with his woman? Should he talk to her about his weaknesses, his feelings? What do you ladies think? What do you
I'm
think,
gonna
Angelique?
I'm gonna say yes. Uh, I I hear Karan and Raul saying that it has been used against them. I've heard a lot of guys say that, so I get why there would be a hesitation not to do that, or to feel like you need to bottle everything up. Uh, when you have the right partner, they're not going to use your emotions against you. Just like if a woman has the right partner, you are going to get married and be able to trust him to take care of you and protect you. But as far as men being vulnerable, that is just not something that is encouraged when they're little boys, from for most of them. And so it's understandable to grow up and feel like you should not be vulnerable. But for me, I think it's healthy for a man to be vulnerable with his woman, and it could actually deepen their bond. I'm not saying he needs to be, sniffling and snotting. I'm not saying he's got to do all that. If he does that, that's what comes out, because you can't always control your emotions. But it definitely makes struggle and life circumstances easier when you can go to your woman and know that, if you do tell her, babe, I'm broke, or I feel lost, or I feel like, I'm not sure what's going on with me. I think those conversations are okay to have. And I feel like when a man can be vulnerable with a woman, I feel like it's easier for her in some cases to be easier with him, because it is, I don't know, when a man cannot be vulnerable, then it comes off like emotional unavailability, and a woman does not want a man who's emotionally unavailable, because I hear them. I get what they're saying. However, when you're not vulnerable and you're coming off emotionally unavailable, then your woman is going to automatically not trust you. and there's going to be suspicion, and you're going to have friction in your relationship. And so it's better to come to her, especially if it's her that's the reason, and there's ways to have healthy conversation about what's going on. You don't have to come out and I get it. Vulnerability is hard. That's actually a lesson that God has been working with me on learning. I'm great at other people's emotions, but with my own, I don't like to share because I am used to handling everything on my own, but I also am learning that is not healthy. And when you keep things bottled up, it can make you sick, and that's why you go to the doctor and they run in all type of tests and they can't find nothing on the test. The test results are all normal. It's because you think that by not being vulnerable or not expressing that because you don't want it used against you or whatever you think is going to happen is healthy. But then you ended up with back problems and stomach problems and, tension in your neck and in your shoulders. And because you're carrying those emotions that you're not talking about, you're carrying that's in your body. That's making you sick. So talk to a therapist, talk to somebody, but I don't think there's anything wrong with a man being vulnerable. I think it's healthy. I think it actually makes him stronger to be vulnerable and to be able to be self-aware and share how he's feeling. And even if you're not talking about, specifically your feelings, it's vulnerable to tell somebody like, hey, I need a minute, I'm not in a headspace to talk about this right now, but once I get there, we can have this conversation later, or, because that's a vulnerable thing to tell somebody too, but you have to, that takes a level of, I don't think you can be self-aware without being vulnerable. And self-awareness is important to be in a relationship. So you should be, and I get it, because there's women out here who are like, he cries, he's a punk. I don't want no man that cried. That's toxic. That's toxic. You know what I mean? Those are probably people in toxic relationships. If your partner cannot come to you and have a conversation about something that is bothering them or on their mind, then that might be a whole deeper relationship issue. But definitely, and I've had men cry in front of me, with me, nightmares, all kind of stuff. And I have never. What I have learned is that at least the men that have been vulnerable with me, whether they've been my intimate partners or friends or relatives, women want to fix. When they're not throwing it in your face, we want to fix it. So if you tell us something, oh baby, it's okay if you don't have a job, I'll give you the $400 or whatever, you know what I mean? And it's not about that. It's just about being able to hold space and listen and not fix, and he'll figure it out. Like I think Karan was saying, he talks to his dad to get, his logical advice, because his mother probably wants to fix it, because that's what we want to do. And so I think there has to be a level of understanding that, and we are not good at receiving. we're not good at receiving. And when you're vulnerable, you are going to receive something. You're going to receive feedback. You're going to receive a hug or whatever, or just receive somebody listening to you. And so we have to get out of this. It's toxic to me to not be vulnerable. It's toxic because it's gonna come out. It's gonna come out somehow. You might. I don't know how it comes out. It might come out in anger. It might come out in being irritated. I don't know how. Every man is different, so every man deals with his emotions differently. But it's toxic. It's toxic to the people around you, and it's toxic to yourself and to your body and to what you got going on when you're not vulnerable and when you're not sharing. So it is important, and it is detrimental to your nervous system, period, to be sharing and to be vulnerable. And that's just how it's. I know that's not how it is, but that is, in a world where that is more accepted, that's how it should be if you have a healthy partner. Because just the way men protect women physically, women protect men emotionally. And it's vice versa, but those are the primary, just my humble opinion.
That's a great point. So Sister Angelique says, absolutely, a man should be vulnerable 100% with his woman. We're talking about vulnerability here, ladies and gentlemen. The question is, should a man be completely vulnerable with his woman, in front of a woman? Janae, and then we'll get Cynthia in here.
Okay, fine. Janae first, and then me.
No, go ahead. Jump in here, Cynthia. You got something?
Oh my God, I am so glad we're talking about this, because me myself, I'm actually going to meetings, and I'll just let it out there. NA meetings. I go to NA meetings, and that's a big foundation part of the meetings is that men. We were just talking about men need to be vulnerable, to talk and put down our guard in order for them to talk, so they don't go out and use anymore, right? And in our relationship, we were just talking about this when she was talking. It was crazy because my husband was just standing here talking to me, and he's all like, that's the foundation of our relationship, is because he had to also learn you have to put it in order. It's God, then it's men, and then it's women, and the foundations. And he's all like telling me, that's what he has to do, is be vulnerable so that he can lead us, Yes, of course, because it takes two. Like I joke around and I say the man is the head, but the woman is the neck, and you can't have a full body without us, right? Because we turn the head, the head can't turn without us, you know what I mean? So yeah, absolutely. The men has to, I mean, it's a human trait that men has to be vulnerable. They have to show emotion. They have to talk, communication. It's all about, key point is communication with the vulnerability, and that's what makes us have a healthy family. All right, I'm good.
Wow.
Thank you.
So Sister Cynthia says you can't have a healthy relationship without vulnerability from a man. Is that right?
Absolutely. That's correct.
That's a great point. That's a great point, sister. Thank you. Janae, jump in here. What are you thinking about what you're hearing here? Should a man be vulnerable with his woman, right? Should he speak on his weaknesses? What do you think? And why do you think?
Yes. Well, let's define the word woman. Are you talking about wife, girlfriend? Are you talking about friend? What are you talking about? Because
I mean that the person you're in that relationship with, because I don't believe a ring is gonna change whether or not a man is gonna say, "Hey, I'll be vulnerable with my girlfriend of 5 years," but this ring, So whoever you're in the relationship with.
if it's your wife and this is who you plan on spending your life with, yeah, you should be vulnerable, because y'all are supposed to be one person, right? Two flesh become one. So if I'm one person and I'm not sharing what's going on, then we're gonna have a disconnect somewhere, and something's gonna be off. So no, I don't think a man should be crying all the time and being as emotional as I am. Like, that's my job. I'm the emotional one. I'm supposed to be emotional, not you. So I don't want somebody just coming, guess what happened to me? I don't want to hear all that. You're right. So I don't expect that, because that is a little zesty, and I don't want a zesty man. But I do want you to be able to be vulnerable. Like, if your parent or somebody close to you died, if you don't shed a tear, I'm going to really look at you sideways, because why are you not crying about somebody so close to you passing away? What's wrong with you? Something's wrong with you, and now I don't trust you. When men bottle everything in, don't ever cry, don't ever do nothing, I don't trust that. I need to be able to trust you wholeheartedly and gain that trust with you, to know that, okay, this is an actual human being with feelings who can understand my feelings when I'm going through things, because you need to be able to understand me. And if you just act like you're just this robot tough guy, I don't want no macho man tough guy. I want you to be able to understand me emotionally, because if you're not able to show your emotions, which that doesn't mean punch holes in walls and beat people up. I don't need to see all that. That's zesty too. Like, I need you to go ahead and just understand me, right? You're supposed to lead me and help me through my emotions, but how are you going to help me with something that you can't even deal with yourself? So I do think it's important that you share certain things with your wife, but of course there's things that you shouldn't share, right? I'm not going to come to you and tell you all my girl stuff. Like, you don't want to hear that. Oh my God, I got these shoes. That was so cute. Guess what? And I'm going to go get another pair. And then I'm going to get this pink dress. What do you think? I'm not going to sit here and talk to you about that kind of stuff, because that's girly stuff. So of course, I don't want to hear about your manly stuff. And maybe if you like guns, click-clacking guns and all this stuff, or sports that I'm not into, I don't want to hear how LeBron James made 50 points today. I don't want to hear that. So that type of stuff, I don't think. But when it's important stuff that are going to affect us together, and if I love you and care for you, if something is going on with you, I want to try to help you through it and be a support. I don't always have to fix it, but I can be there to support you. And hey, somebody's here with me to fight with me through this fire that I'm going through. And you should be able to trust your woman enough to do that. because if you don't, then you have the wrong partner. And something that Shaq said in that video was, "Oh, I've never told a woman anything about me vulnerable." And then he says, "Because they'll throw it up in your face later." So obviously he did, because somebody threw it up in his face later, and he's hurt and he's bitter, just like a bitter old woman. So it's the same thing. So he got hurt. Somebody threw something up in his face because you dealt with somebody who was toxic, and they threw up what happened to you in their face when you did something wrong to them. So be careful who you pick. Pick wisely, and ask God, pray about it before you just jump into a relationship with someone, because you need to know you're supposed to prove this. Every spirit you meet, you're supposed to prove them. So you should be proving your spouse. Is this somebody you can trust? If there's something that's going on with you that makes you feel vulnerable, that's probably not the person you should be. I could keep going, but I'm gonna stop.
Okay. Well, you made some great points there. I would say I don't believe, I believe to a certain extent, you can be vulnerable. And I believe when women say, hey, be vulnerable, I believe them in that moment. I believe they feel that way in that moment, but I believe they'll feel another way next week. Because sisters, they talk what they feel, right? When a man speaks, he's telling you what he thinks. When a woman speaks, she's telling you what she feels. And women change their mind. So I've never heard of a sister who says, no, I wish my man was not vulnerable. But I think down the road, they probably can't get it out of their mind. And I think, in my opinion, it will make a woman less attracted to you. I think you become less attractive to a woman if you're telling her what your weaknesses are, because men, we want to lead, we want to lead, and we want to be invisible to our women. So I think it's very difficult, and I will rest my case and ask sisters. I will ask sisters, but I think brothers, we feel as if, hey, not only will this get thrown up in my face again, but it makes me less attractive to my woman. Jump in here, Janae. I see you there.
So no, for me, that's gonna be a no. I don't need to hear every single thing, right? I don't need to hear every single problem you have. I don't need to hear how this made you feel and this person at work. I don't need to hear all of that, because yes, that is feminine, that is zesty. I don't want that. But there are times in your life where you're gonna go through things. And I think if you do come to me crying about every little thing, yes, that's going to irritate me. Yes, I am going to lose attraction for you. Yes, all of those things are going to happen. But if there's something serious going on with you, which men don't have a lot of issues that they share, right? So we don't know the things that's going on with you. You might share 1 in 1,000 things, but long as I can get that 1 out of 1,000, then that actually makes you more attractive, because that means that you trust me, and that you trust me with this vulnerability. I want to feel like you actually trust me, since men don't really trust a lot anyway. So I do want to feel like you trust me, and that you think that I would handle your emotions or your secrets with care. But when you don't share with me, then no, I don't like that either.
So sisters are saying, if they've been with a man who've cried in front of them, they didn't lose attraction for or respect or submission. Can you submit to a man who cries in front of you? Can you do it? Jump in here, Cynthia, please.
Yes.
Well, yes and no. Listen to this story. Okay, so I'm gonna be a little vulnerable myself here. I'm an open book. My husband, I didn't know how sensitive he was. I didn't know how much trauma he's gone through. I didn't know him really, because in the beginning we were courting, right? Of course, in a relationship, you get together, you get to know each other, and both of us, we're human. We only let people see what we want them to see, right?
Of course.
So when when we get serious, we eventually get to know each other a little bit more. And there's, of course, going to be qualities that we don't like of each other. And then that's when we start just deciphering. I'm like, I don't like it when you do that too much. We need more of this. We need more communication. I don't like it when you cry too much. And so we learn to change ourselves for the better for each other, And I didn't like his crying all the time. Like I didn't know how emotional he was, and of course, I'm not going to go into too much depth, but of course, in the beginning, we needed more communication. We needed more communication, and with that, again, like I said, that's where the vulnerability was because we had to talk to each other. We had to let our guard down if we wanted to make this work. So I didn't like the crying, but at the same time, cry when it's necessary. Don't cry all the time because you're super emotional over everything. You know what I mean? So that's how it was for me in our relationship.
That's transparency. We really appreciate that, sister, that your honesty, your openness there. Sister Angelique, you said you had men cry in front of you. Can you submit to a man that is vulnerable in that way to you? Are you attracted to that?
I am. And I wouldn't consider them crybaby men because there are crybaby men, but when I'm talking about men crying in front of me, I'm not talking about men who are crybabies. I'm talking about because there are men who we all know men like this. Every time you see them, I don't care if it's right now or 5 years from now, they're still complaining about the same thing. They're crying about the same thing. I'm not talking about those men. I'm talking about, men who cry because they have trauma or just we're having a conversation and something hits them. But no, I never lost attraction for them. And it actually made me more attracted to them because they were willing to share, because I felt safe when they were willing to be vulnerable with me, because you can only love to the capacity. You can only love someone else to the capacity that you can love yourself. Right. So if you can't be vulnerable with yourself or let something out, then you really don't have the emotional bandwidth to support somebody else in their emotions. And that's why I was saying you have to have the self-awareness. So for me, I just think about crying like it's just self-awareness. And if you feel like that's what you need to do in that moment, do it. And it did make our with these gentlemen that I'm talking about, it did make our relationship stronger in those moments because there is safety in vulnerability. And there's bonding and vulnerability because feelings are hard to talk about. And so, we had more conversations. And it wasn't about fixing that man or trauma bonding with him. Like, wow, I went through that too. It really just boiled down to holding space and being able to listen and be like, thank you for telling me that. I know that was really hard for you to tell me. I know you don't like talking about your feelings, so I appreciate that you shared that with me. And then we're able to talk about things that are not emotional with more clarity and more honesty because we were able to have conversations and they were able to cry with me in those moments.
That's a great point, sister. That's a great point. Yeah, well, I'll give unless anyone else wants to say anything else on it, I think men from a very young age, we're taught our entire life about being overly emotional. And ultimately, even though sisters say, hey, we want that, I do believe it's something that she'll never forget. She'll never forget. And certain things I think you can talk to women about, but I think some of your weaknesses, you don't want the person that you're supposed to protect to know your weakness. And I think most men are like that, generally speaking. So I think you keep that, you hold that, because sisters they have the spirit of trepidation. They're already worried. That's like one of the curses God gave the woman in Genesis 3 was that she would be worried all the time. And she's a weaker vessel. And if the burden is very heavy for me to carry, how heavy is it for my woman to carry? Right. So if I was struggling with something like pornography or something like that, I don't think that's something I would tell my wife. Because it's not a struggle of mine, but I could see how having foresight, hey, this will probably not only bother your wife, but it'll make her feel like she doesn't look good enough, that you're not attracted to her. There's so many things that the devil will send to a woman in that way. So I do believe, some of your weaknesses, most of your weaknesses, you should speak to somebody of the same gender, just to protect your wife from that burden. Did anybody want to respond to that before we go to our next video? Okay. So our
I
next
do.
video.
Oh,
Oh
just
yeah,
kidding.
jump in here, Cynthia.
Go
Jump
ahead.
in.
You go.
No.
Oh, I do real quick. Like I said, we go to meetings and we're in NA. One of the things that he does is we each have a partner called the sponsor, and that's where they have like a therapy and whatever issues that they have that they could deal with and talk about. And one of the rules is that you can't have mixed partners. He can't have a female and I can't have a male partner. And it's just out of respect, out of vulnerability, out of a little bit of everything. So yeah, definitely we definitely hold that accountable to each other, to have each other's back by having a same-sex sponsor.
That's a great point, sister. That is a really good point. It certainly makes sense. Karan, jump in here, Q. What do you think about what I said?
Oh, what you said, I think you're completely correct. But I just believe that it's gonna always be hard for, like you said earlier, if you ask a woman, should a man be vulnerable with her, she's always gonna say yes. But being the man and being the leader, it's gonna be hard for you to break down those barriers and be able to tell somebody who you need to support, who you're trying to lead, who your responsibility is to take care of them. And I know we're supposed to take care of each other, but it gets to a certain point where if you show this much leeway, that I wouldn't say the image, but the protection you've shown in the past could have a crack in it, a crack in your armor that you've shown, and it could differentiate the relationship from that point on. I don't know if I'm articulating myself correctly, but I just want to say that real quick.
That's a great point, brother. That is a great point. Definitely articulated yourself well. So now we'll go on to our next video. This topic is priority, right? In this video, we see a man, his wife, his mother, all going somewhere. And the question was, who sits in the back? Okay, take a look at this video and tell me what you think here.
I'm not sitting in the back seat. You need to get out. You gonna sit in the back seat today? You need to get out. I'm not sitting in the back seat.
My mom's coming, so I don't know. You will have to get it back.
What you mean you're not coming?
It's not that deep. Just sit in the back seat.
Okay, no, y'all not married anyway, honey. I mean, we just going somewhere. You act like you gotta sit in the back seat forever. Okay, bye. That's real crazy. Like what?
All right, now, brothers and sisters, who sits in the back, right? Cynthia, jump in here, please.
Oh, that was the first one. Good. I am so glad that you showed us this video because I as growing up, always growing up, as even in all the foster homes I grew up in, they always taught me and ingrained in me as a child, Your elders are always first. The elders are always elders, girl. The elders were there that fed you. They're the ones that clothed you. They're the ones that took care of your child. They're the ones that take care of your man. They're the ones that was always there. They're not going to be there forever. So the mother should sit in the front, and it doesn't hurt you to put down your pride and go sit your little butt in the back with the other children, because you're the ones that made those children too. So if it was the other way around, how would you think it would be? You would be sitting in the front for your child. You know what I mean? So that's how I feel.
Wow, that's a great point, sister. You make fabulous point. Absolutely. Thank you. Who wants to jump in on this topic? Who sits in the back there? We see a brother with his mother and his woman. His woman jumps in the front seat. His mom is not having it. Okay, jump in here, Janae.
Of course, okay. So I can see both, right? Because I don't think there's a scripture that says don't sit at a space where you have to be put further down. I forgot what scripture that is, but at the same time, like what Cynthia was saying, that's what I was taught too. Like, that's an elder. She goes in the front. You get in the back. Like, that's just, I think, common decency and morals and things like that. And they sound like they were in the South, so I know for a fact that's definitely something that they do in the South. So the fact that she got in the front in the first place irritated the mom off rip. And then she came and said something like, what are you doing? Right? And then she had a little attitude with her. So then that spiced it up. I also noticed that the girl was white. And I think that also irritated the mother, that she was white. I'm just keep it real. And she was like, get your white behind in the back. And then she didn't want to do that. So then the brother too, he should have like maybe talked about this before, because he knows, your woman. I think Quran said, what kind of woman you have, right? So what kind of woman you have. He should have said something to her before, like, hey, my mom's gonna ride in the front, because that's just what we do in our family. The elders, like, just tell her that, right? And there wouldn't have been an issue. Now you made an issue. So now there's about to be some tension in this family all over a front seat. And you could have sat in the back with your child. And then she had so much pride. She'd rather drive in a separate car than get in the back. The husband did, or boyfriend, he didn't even go check on his woman or nothing. He didn't go say, hey, are you okay? Like, get in the car. He didn't show no leadership. He just put his mama first. But at the same time, that is his wife, and his mom should have had some type of respect for her being his wife or his girlfriend. And she could have stepped down too. So I just saw a lot of pride on both sides in the video. But I think the first thing is the respect, the morals, the culture. The old people sit in the front and you get in the back.
So you're saying that if your husband and your father are riding in this car and you're driving, you're going to ask your husband to sit in the back?
Yes. I probably would get in the back and ask my husband to drive, actually. I'm like, can you drive? And then I'll get in the back.
Okay, great point. That's a great point. Thank you for your perspective on that. Let's hear from the brothers. Let's hear from a couple of these brothers. Raul, jump in here, brother. If you're driving, your mother and your wife are in the vehicle, who is going to sit in the back and why?
Honestly, I agree with what Janae said about how it's really just a morality thing. It's not really because, not necessarily because, oh, this is my mom, she deserves to sit in the front of in the front, even though that is my mama, and I would want my mom in the more comfortable position. But it's also the fact that she's an elder. This woman raised me. This woman brought me up, and so you should respect that as well. Like, the elders come first, like Janae said. So that's what I was raised on too, and so that's what I know. Honestly, if I had to get in the back because my wife's or my significant other's dad had to sit in the front, I wouldn't take that to my heart at all, because honestly, that's something very small to me. I don't really look at that like, oh, like you're trying to take over my position, or like you're just trying to belittle me. Honestly, like that's too little for me to even get hurt by something like that. That's what I believe, if you're asking me. And then but also, like, I do feel like that whole scenario was kind of dirty though, because it seemed like the wife and the mom had an attitude. It seemed like throughout the whole video, and like I feel like they both could have handled it way better. but at the same time, it's the morality. Like I would have my mother sit in the front before my wife, and I would respect having my father-in-law sit in the front before me. So that's
So
how I
how would
feel
you
about
break
that
that?
video.
What would you say to your wife?
To I I would explain. I would explain. I would just explain my morality. I feel like if you can't, I feel like if I was to tell you, like, it's just you got to respect your elders. Your elders come first, and you take that offensive. I feel like that's very childish of you. Like, I mean, if you ask me, because then you're just thinking about yourself at that point. I feel like, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point. Absolutely. So Raul says, yeah, he believes the elder should sit up front. He would have no problem speaking with this woman and really conversing with her about, the morality how he sees things. So that's a great point. Let's get Sister Angelique here. Who sits in the back, sister, and why?
I'm here. I'm here. Was eating. um, the mother. I agree with everyone else. The mother, his mother, sits in the front. It is just a respect thing, and she is an elder, and it's going to be easier for her to get out of the front seat. It's really more of a practical choice. I think sometimes women, wives, we can get in our feelings because that would almost seem like some women would view something like that, and probably with this situation that he's choosing his mother over her when it's not that deep. It could be, but it's when we're just talking about a seating arrangement, and everything, assuming everything else is healthy, it's not that deep. She should be in the front, off top, and she should have been the one to offer. It kind of seemed like from the video that mother-in-law and well, I guess they're not mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, because the lady straight up was like, "You're not even married yet." But it seemed like there's tension beyond the seating arrangement with those women, and when men don't speak up in a situation like that, and I get freezing and not knowing what to do, or being in the middle, or not choosing sides because you don't want to make either woman upset. I get that. But in a situation in a dynamic like that, when the man doesn't speak up, it's gonna cause a bigger problem. So I agree with Janae when she was saying that the guy should have had could have had a conversation with his woman before the car ride and explained how the seating arrangement was going to go. But I don't understand why that wasn't automatic for her, unless it's just the beef, because it really just seemed like they had beef in the video, the way they were talking to each other. That poor guy is probably used to them being catty with each other all the time beyond that car seat situation. But she definitely should have allowed that, not had a problem with that woman sitting in the front seat. And listen, the mother sits with her son, she sits with her kids. Problem solved.
So you think it's essentially it's more of a morality perspective and respecting the elders. Is that what you're saying, sister?
Yeah, I mean, in practicality, it's going to be way easier for the wife or the girlfriend to get out of the back seat than it would be for the mom. And if she's got walkers and equipment or whatever else, or she needs leg room and got problems or whatever, then she's gonna need room to get out. So yeah, it's morality, it's practicality, it's just easier.
That's a great point, sister. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Karan, so how would you break this to your wife? How would you break this? What are you thinking on this?
I'm thinking on this is my mom is gonna sit where she wants to sit. My mom is she's pretty humble when it comes to the sitting arrangement. She sits in the back quite often. If my aunties, we going somewhere, he's fine sitting in the back if she wants to sit in the back. But if my mom wants to sit in the front, she's sitting in the front, and I'm gonna have to break that to my wife. And if we're going, I guess we're gonna have to establish this before we even go. We'd be like, so before we even head outside, be like, who's gonna sit in the front seat? And we're gonna have that talk right there. And I believe if I'm with the correct woman, she's gonna be humble enough to not take offense to sitting in the back seat.
Mm. So let me ask you this. You said wherever mom wants to sit, mom's gonna sit. What's your perspective behind that? Why is that?
I believe that because she is the older, and she, even though this is my wife and she takes priority in my life, you know, there's fewer and fewer moments where you have with your parents as you get older. And something as simple as a seat, I believe you would defer to a person in a higher position, I would say, as the older person. You know, if I was let's say I was driving, we're going in the car and it's her dad, it's her, and it's me. I'm most likely gonna be sitting in the back seat, and I'm fine with that. You know?
That's a great point. That's a great point, brother. I would say I certainly would. I think the brother dropped the ball because he should have had the foresight to know that, hey, we're getting ready to get in the car. I would ask my wife if she wouldn't mind sitting in the back. You know, I would talk to my wife about it first. I would ask her, you know, would you mind if my mom sat in the front? I think that if you speak to a woman first, that right there, that was, I blame the brother that just transpired, that action, that friction transpired because he didn't do his job. So I would certainly ask my wife, hey, you know, do you mind if my mom sits up front? And if she had a huge problem with it, then I would ask my wife to drive and I would sit in the back. But I certainly would ask my wife because I do have to respect her, you know, even I have to respect my wife. The Lord says, you know, nobody can come in between, including my mom, cannot come in between me and my wife, and vice versa. That's how it should be. So I believe he dropped the ball. I believe he could have handled it better. How I would handle it is, of course, I want my mom because she's older to probably get more room. But I would have to ask my wife. I wouldn't just tell her, or I wouldn't just think that she's gonna immediately go to the back. So I agree with you all as far as the morality part. Jump in here, Janae. Unmute. Yeah. Okay, let me
Okay, there you go. I don't know. That was weird. I was gonna ask you the question then. So what would you do if your wife said, no, I don't want to sit in the back. Your mom needs to sit in the back.
I would then ask my wife if she wouldn't mind driving, and then I would sit in the back.
What if she said, no, I want to sit in the front and I want you to drive?
Then I would talk to my mom. I would talk to my mom and ask her if she's willing to sit in the back. The only danger is I'm going to hear about that for the rest of my natural life. My mom is going to tell me she's never going to forgive my wife, you know, and she's going to make sure she tells me all the time that girl don't have no respect for me or you. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to take that on the chin. If both of my, you know, the women in my lives are being difficult, but that's, you know, I think that's the only way.
Yeah.
I think that's the only, and I think every brother here knows that if you know, if your mom found out that you know, your wife had a problem sitting in the back for her to take the front seat, man, he's never going to hear the end of that. He is never going to hear the end of that. Does anyone want to touch on that topic before we go to our next video? Okay, all right now. So the next video is on manipulation. Okay, manipulation. Take a look at this.
Emotions can be used as manipulation. He brings up something that he wants to talk about. She cries because of what he said. And he said it nicely, but it's something they need to deal with. And she cries, and then he gets terrified. And so then he shuts down. And so really her crying is a manipulation. It's I don't want to hear anything that I'm, quote, doing wrong. Being a victim is actually a power position because you are making it impossible for anyone to deal with whatever is going on between the two of you.
Brothers and sisters, the question is, do women use crying as a manipulation tactic? Do sisters use crying, tears, as a manipulation tactic? What do you think? Jump in here, Janae.
Yes and no. So yes, I think some women do use that as manipulation, but I'm gonna say no as well because I'm a girl. I cry. That's what we do as girls. We cry a lot, and I don't think men understand that. So I think it's something that you said before is that women feel words, and that is very true. So, like, you were telling me that I did something wrong, and deep inside of me, I'm still that little girl that my dad's telling me I did something wrong, and so I'm sad that I disappointed you. So I might shed a tear, but some of us also will just be like, all right, whatever, right? But I do think girls do use they tears like them Karens and stuff that be crying and stuff. Oh, she hit me. So yes, I do believe that women use tears as manipulation sometimes, but I think men also need to be okay with women crying. Just because I'm crying doesn't mean that you can't tell me what I did was wrong. I still need to hear it so that I can be corrected in that. But if I have a good heart and I'm a good woman, then I'm gonna be sad that I hurt you and disappointed you. And when I get sad, I cry. I would like to ask you men, do you guys cry at movies? Because I do, and I'm pretty sure y'all don't. So I'm just saying, I cry.
Okay. Great point. Let's get Cynthia in here. What do you think, sister? The question is, do women use crying as a manipulation tactic?
I love your answer, Janae. That was great. I want to say also yes and no. There are those women who are trifling. They are just, they doesn't matter what you're going to say or do. They want what they want and they're going to figure out how to get it, right? So yes, that's a big yes for some women. They do strongly use that. I've seen it offhand so many times in my 40 years of living. Me personally, I think I have, I'm not gonna lie. Yes, I have at times before in the past, but as time went on and growing up and maturing and going through life as I have stopped doing that. And I know that my husband also, he stops and he thinks of how he's going to word things towards me. He doesn't want to hurt my feelings and he doesn't want to start a fight. He doesn't want to, he's always very considerate on how he wants to say things to me. I won't cry about it, but of course I'll have something to say about it. You know what I mean? That's more of a teenager thing to do, maturity level thing to do, and how a certain woman was raised and who's raised that woman definitely has a lot to do with the mother and father and discipline when they're growing up, how a person was raised. So that's my aspect of manipulating, and some of it is gaslighting too. Some of it's gaslighting that has to go along with that as well.
Wow. You brought a nuance in there about this being, being something that they learned. Wow, that's interesting. Sister Angelique, what do you think about this, right? Do sisters use crying as a manipulation tactic?
Some do. And it is a way to, I think the lady was saying it in the video. Or maybe I don't know, maybe she wasn't. But it is a way to avoid whatever it is that she did, or a way to, like, crying could be used as shifting blame, because they don't want to face whatever they did. So they're going to get emotional and cry over something, that a man did or somebody else did. This is kind of a hard question for me because I'm emotional anyway. Like Janae was saying earlier, I cry at movies. I cry at gum commercials. I cry at inspirational quotes. Like, I cry about everything. But for me, it's not manipulation. I'm just an emotional person. So, I think in certain contexts, I probably, like I was listening to Cynthia talk And I don't think I thought about it before she made her comment, before she shared with her thoughts. I believe I have cried for manipulation in the past, not with a partner, but just in different situations to drive home a point. Or like maybe I didn't start out that emotional, but by the end of whatever I was trying to accomplish, I was super emotional. And so that's actually a really, I'm glad that she brought that up, because that is something to think about. But yes, there are definitely women who want to cry instead of having conversations or being responsible for whatever they said or did. And it is a way to get what you want sometimes, for a woman to get what she wants sometimes. And I agree that it is a maturity level. But yeah, I definitely think that some women, crying is like their go-to form of manipulation, and at some point they learn that it works, and that's why they do it. It works for whoever they're crying to. It works. I mean, when you learn a behavior that works, you keep doing it. Sure. So that's what I have to say on that.
That's a great point, sister. Those are great points that you make there. Let's hear from our brothers. Let's get Q, let's get Quran, and then we'll go to Raul. Quran, is crying, do sisters use the tears as a form of manipulation? What do you think?
Yes, most definitely. Females use their emotions as a manipulation tactic. I mean, quite often, honestly. I've seen it from my mom, my aunties, women I've talked to. True. I mean, and it depends on I would say their spiritual closeness. Because if you're using it to manipulate somebody, then it's kind of a bit wicked, But we'll say that the women who have done it that I've seen, they weren't in the truth. So, or they weren't actively trying to get closer to God. So I can't say I've seen it in a woman who's striving to be godly, but definitely in worldly women, they will use their emotions and gaslight to get out of a situation that was bad.
So you do believe many times sisters will turn on the waterworks as a way to control the narrative. Is that what you're saying, brother?
Yes, brother. We've seen it in many cases. I'm not going to say there's many, but false rape cases where a woman will blatantly lie on a brother and cry in court that he got raped when they really just had sexual intercourse, but she doesn't want to admit that it was consensual, and she'll bring out waterworks. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate, but I don't know. Maybe they have a switch so where they can just start crying and have tears come out.
That's a great point. That is a great point, brother. Let's hear what Raul has to say on this. Raul, do sisters use crying as a form of manipulation to get what they want or to control the conversation?
I definitely believe there are sisters that are out there that use that to their advantage, and it's very unhealthy to do. Not only for the man, because he wants to comfort his woman when he's crying, but also for her, because she's just being fake, and I wouldn't say that I've had it happen to me, because I don't think I've had a woman cry to me and falsely cry. But I do believe that some women can use that to their advantage, in certain scenarios, just to get the upper hand, or just to feel better about themselves, I guess. Yeah.
So, okay, well then this is the second part of the question. Is this a learned behavior?
It can be, yeah. I think you could also just develop it yourself from just being selfish too, just developing that mentality. But also, yeah, it could come from traumas. Maybe her parents, she saw her mom be like that with her dad, or just certain stuff like that. But I feel like it could develop over time too.
That's a great point, brother. So Raul says he believes that usually it is a trait that is learned, but in some cases, if you are selfish, if you're a narcissist, essentially that's what a narcissist is, you will develop to use this tool to get your own way. Is that what you're saying, Raul?
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, there is people out there that are selfish, and there is people out there that will use stuff like that to their advantage to, you know, do better or look better, I guess.
The power of victimhood. What do you think, brothers and sisters? Is this a learned behavior?
I could take this.
Yeah,
I
what
want
do you
to.
think, Cynthia?
I kind of feel like it is a little bit learned behavior from a mom that did it, and then or even a dad, the parents, definitely the parents, or even like friends. Friends could teach them how to do that, and they saw exactly. Somebody said that once they see it worked, they kept doing it. It could be a learned behavior for sure. Or sometimes I want to say that, in a sense, it's not, because what if, well, not what if, but I feel like maybe sometimes they do it without knowing that they're doing it. You know what I mean? It may be learned subconsciously, if that makes sense. So that's what I think.
That's a great point. That's a great point, that it could be done subconsciously. That's interesting. That is interesting. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Is this a learned behavior? I'll say before anyone else jumps in, I think young girls, they learn this at a very young age, because girls are usually daddy's girls. And little girls learn at a very young age how to get their way, especially with their dad. And usually it's crying, right? Because men are really weak towards the cries of their daughter. So I do believe young sisters, women learn at a very young age how to get what they want, and crying is one of those ways. And I do believe that it is used as a form of manipulation a lot. And I agree with Cynthia and Sister Angelique that it's a maturity thing, and it's narcissistic in my opinion when a brother may be bringing forth a behavior that he wants to change, and then she comes out with the waterworks. We see it all the time with what they call the Karens out there, who will they will be, demonstrative, angry, aggressive, truculent even, and then put on the waterworks to get the police or whatever the case is. So we definitely see it quite a bit. Janae, jump in here, please. Is this a learned behavior?
Yeah, you kind of took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say it's learned from childhood, and that's with anybody, because when I cry, and that's why you have to let your kids cry, because when I cry, you just give them everything they want, then they think like, oh, if I cry, if I make a big enough pout and a stink about this, then I'm going to get what I want. So definitely a learned behavior, and especially with fathers and their daughters, if they're a good father, they usually just, okay, baby, here, you can have it. And that's not a good technique to use on your daughter, because you're teaching her, that's what you're teaching her, that if I cry enough, if I'm loud enough, then I'm going to get my way, when that's not how it should be. So yeah, I definitely think it's a learned behavior as well. And then if you're watching others do it, then you'll do it too and pick it up. So yeah. But my mom didn't cry, so I don't know about crying.
Well, let me ask this question for our sisters. What does crying actually mean?
That's a good question. I mean, I cry because like I feel sad. Like usually, like, so that's why I said, like, when I'm watching a movie or something, I'm like, I start thinking about, even though it's a movie and I know it's a movie, and then let's say something happens in the movie and the woman starts crying, and that's another thing. If I see somebody else cry, I'm automatically crying. It's just automatic. It's like when you see people yawn and then you yawn. For girls, when we see you cry, we start crying, or we'll walk away. Like, I don't know what that's about, but definitely, I don't know. I just cry. I told you I'm a girl. I cry. I don't know how to explain it. I just cry. It's an emotion.
Okay, let's see what Cynthia has to say. What when a woman is crying, what does it mean?
I feel like it's our hormones. It's a really deep emotion where it comes out like in another form of like, of course, sad, anger, love, happiness. No matter what emotion you have, there's a reason to cry about it, you know? And our hormones has a really deep impact on that because our bodies are completely different from men's bodies. And the way men are born, they're born, they're born a man and of course a woman, but we have the hormones, and it has something to do with the chromosomes, and it's just deep inside of our soul and things like that. It's a part of our soul.
That's a great point, sister. That's a really good point. Sister Angelique, tell us what you think on that topic.
Can you repeat the question one more time, please?
What does crying actually mean? When a woman is doing this, what does it actually mean?
It can mean a lot of things. It could mean that you're so moved by what you're hearing. It could be a good thing. You could, because we cry when we get married. We cry when we graduate. We cry when somebody we love goes to jail or dies. We cry when somebody gets out of the hospital. We cry at church, because we're so moved by the Bible sometimes. Listen, every time I read about how Jesus died, I cry. So because it's just so sad and so profound, and like such grace that he had for us, that he would do what he did, and like the sequence of events, and just to hear it described is it's so moving that he would go through that for us. And so it really it depends. It's an extension of your expression of how you feel, and we cry when we're sad. We cry when we give birth. We cry when we see touching scenes in movies. We cry when our favorite character dies on a TV show. So I think crying is just expression. And the thing is, we can't always control crying, because even if you're not out here, blubbering tears and got the waterworks going, a tear or two might slide down your face. Your eyes might, you might get something in your eye a little bit, your eyelashes be wet, but there's a lot of different, crying means a lot of things. And if I'm being completely honest, when I hear you ask the question, because you're asking the question, it makes me think of men that I know that ask that question because they want to fix it. So that's what I think of. Because when a woman is crying, whether it's the man's mother, his daughter, his sister, his friend, he wants to fix it. At least healthy ones, right? They if he's not the cause of it, he wants to, what's upsetting you? I want to. So there's it. So I'll say this to wrap up what I'm saying. When a woman is crying, what it doesn't mean is that necessarily a man needs to fix it. It's just an expression. We need to be better about telling you if we want you to fix it, but it's not. The tears are not always because we want you to fix it. Sometimes we just get so overcome with emotion for whatever reason. And the tears just fall. And honestly, sometimes we cry because we've been holding things in for a long time, and they just happen to come out at that moment, and you may be in the room when it happens. So yeah, just don't always think that, if a woman is crying that you need to jump into action and do something. Sometimes just being with her in the same room, or holding her hand, or or comforting her, putting your hand on her shoulder. If it's your wife, it's appropriate, like doing something comforting, or even just listening is enough. Men don't always need to spring into action and fix a woman's tears.
Right. Absolutely, sister. That's a great point. And let's actually talk about that. She took us right into our next question, right? If we're having a talk, and there's maybe the sister has done something that is unbecoming, the man is not happy with it, or maybe it's a behavior that's going on, and the sister cries, how should I react? How should a man react when a woman, he's trying to have a conversation about what he likes or doesn't like, or what transpired, and a woman cries? how should a man react? Because the reason men see that as manipulation is because of how it makes us feel. And we believe it puts us on the defense. So what do you think, right? When a woman begins to cry during a conversation with a brother, how should we as men react? Let's hear from our sisters first. Because men, okay.
No, what were you going to say? Go ahead, finish your
No,
thought.
a lot of times men don't have certain conversations with women and don't say how they feel because they know the waterworks were coming. Then you feel kind of guilty after that. So what men try to avoid, sometimes saying hard truths to women to avoid that. So the question is, how should a man react when a woman is crying midst of conversation about, something that she may be doing that he's not a fan of?
That's good insight, and thank you for that, for sharing that context, because that makes a lot of things make so much sense. I think context is important. How should a man react when a woman is crying? Context is important. Where are you talking? What are you talking about? What is the tone? Did she do something wrong? Are you working something out? Are you planning something? So context and tone are very important, because I know sometimes, and I think too, and I don't think any of us talked about this earlier. Sometimes women cry because we're triggered. And I know for me, because you're asking this question about men, sometimes I have cried in conversations with men just at the tone of their voice, because I've been yelled at. I've been in some I grew up in some certain ways that when a man is, even if he's calm, if he's talking to me in a certain tone, I'm just going to cry, and I have to calm myself down. So I think that's important. It really is. Don't avoid conversations because you think, and I know it's easier said than done, but just trying to think about it more with grace. Don't be so quick to, that's not how I wanted to say that. We are responsible for managing our own emotions. You don't have any control over how we react to what you tell us, the same way that we don't have control over how you react to what we tell you. So I think that don't put yourself in a position to manage a woman's emotions. If she's crying, she's crying. Sometimes things have to be said. Hard conversations have to be had. And if, crying is just going to be part of that conversation, and it's not necessarily something for you to fix. We should have enough self-awareness that we can remove, in most cases, have enough self-awareness that we can remove ourselves from a conversation that is making us feel uncomfortable in a way that we can't continue, but also not doing that in a way that sounds like manipulation, because that can be manipulation too. I really just, the main two things are tone. Matter of fact, my ex-husband used to tell me all the time that when he would talk to customers, because he wasn't a manager, but he was basically the go-to person. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if any of the gentlemen in this discussion are, but because he is a taller, heavier, black male, he automatically has a deeper baritone. Mm-hmm. And so he was telling me that he used to tell me when he had conversations with people, he would try to be cognizant of his tone, because he knew how people might perceive him, even though for him that was just his natural speaking voice, or that was just his natural tone. So for someone else, it could be coming off in a way that's just natural for him. So that's what I'm saying. Don't make yourself responsible for the woman's emotions when you're having a conversation with her. And if you need to check in with her, that's a good thing. You can, if you do anything, you can say, if we need to stop having this conversation right now, we can, but we would need to come back and finish. We would need to come back and finish it. But that's the thing, because I knew it. Like, there's this whole conversation about springing into action. Well, what do I do when she cries? Honestly, most of the time, nothing. You don't do anything. You let her manage her own emotions. And if you guys have a good dynamic and a healthy relationship, she's going to be able to communicate with you, maybe not in that moment, but after she's done crying, how it is that you can support her in that moment. So it's just it's mainly just context. And listen, if we're in a heated argument and you're yelling at me and I'm crying, that's a whole different conversation than if you just ask me to marry you and I'm crying.
Yeah.
So it's so nuanced, and there's so many things to consider, but it really does all go back to the self-awareness piece. And that's why it is important to be able to be vulnerable and express yourself and hold space for other people, but hold space for yourself too. And that's what I will say about that.
That's great advice, sister, where you said, hey, we can see you're emotional. We're going to stop the conversation for now, but we have to come back to that. I think that's excellent advice for men who want to be able to communicate with their women, but fear the emotionality of the situation. It's great advice. Let's get Cynthia in here. Cynthia, how should I react? How should a man react to that?
I just asked my husband this question, like, how would you react if I was crying and I was emotional and we were in a conversation, I started crying. And he said, well, I would just be patient and wait and listen to you talk, because you have to let it out, because I know you. Because I have to have the word, he knows me too well, and when I start crying and stuff, and so he lets me calm down and say what I need to say. And that sounds on point. That's what he does. I kind of forgot, because I haven't been in that situation for quite a while. I haven't been all whiny and crying. So yeah. And things have been good, you guys.
That's good. Oh,
what a good times we've been through. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
In the beginning though, it wasn't like that. We were still courting, and we didn't know each other. So going backwards a little bit, we were going through it. We were going through fights. Like you're gonna listen to me. Like I've always been me. You're gonna listen to me. I'm gonna have the word. And he didn't know that. He didn't know that about me, right? He's all like, "What is wrong with you? You're a little bit crazy." You're like, "Oh," And so we had to like she said, we have to go through those emotions. We have to talk through it. And we have to we have to go through the feelings and everything like that in order for us to get to know each other, in order for us to get to, adjust ourselves for each other, so that we can, make each other comfortable to talk to each other, to be vulnerable, to be able to talk and cry about it and things like that. And those are times where I would listen to him cry. But if he's crying all the time, every time, and I'm not raising 4 kids. I'm not, I have 3 kids already. I'm not raising another one. You're going to have to buck up and, tell me what's going on. So a lot of it is communication and letting me be me. I know I have a lot of growing up to do still. And we're all people. We're just people, and we understand that.
That's great. That's a great perspective there, sister. Let's get Janae in here. How should a man react if he's having a difficult conversation with his wife, with his girlfriend, and she begins to cry because it's something that men fear? How should he react?
I think Angelique said it best. Just, you don't need to do anything. Just let me cry. I keep saying, like, we cry. Maybe y'all need to get familiar. Maybe y'all should take a class on, like, listening to women cry. Maybe they should make that up, because we cry. And it doesn't mean that I need you to do anything just because I'm crying, or that I don't want to do what you're telling me to do, or trying to manipulate you to stop saying that I cry. So I think you guys just need to get comfortable with women crying. Nothing needs to be done. Unless it's like really something sad, maybe pat my back or something. And I did like the tool of maybe hey, if you guys can't handle it because that's really for you, then maybe you should tell her like, okay, you're emotional right now. We'll come back and revisit this later. Because like I said, this is just a normal thing for women to cry. And maybe it's not normal to you men to cry, because y'all say y'all bottle up everything. You're not sharing nothing with a woman. You're not doing nothing, right? So we cry with our friends. We cry with you. We cry with animals. We cry. We just cry. I don't know how else to tell y'all what we cry. I know y'all don't think I cry, but I cry. Sometimes I cry quietly. And a lot of times it just be like what she said, there's a little tear, your eyelashes get wet, and I push them back in. But I cry a lot.
So you say men have to be, you're saying men have to be okay with women crying.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that you need to go and run and jump through hoops to make me stop crying. Here's a tissue. Okay, now get out what you got to say, because we're so emotional. A lot of times it's like built up inside of us, and our emotions, it's like we can't get our words out fast enough. So then our tears are like our words. So then our tears start coming out. We're like, okay, I'm trying to talk to you. And then maybe that's annoying to you. You don't want to hear somebody doing all that. So you're like, okay, well, when you're done with all that, come back. I don't know. Maybe it's something in men where when you guys hear us crying, that it makes you want to jump into action. So maybe that is something that God gave you, and maybe that's why when you guys cry, when we cry, that's like your thing is like, okay, well, she's manipulating me.
Well, that's a great point. I think that's good for all the brothers here and the brothers that are listening to this broadcast, that sisters are saying, you just have to be able to deal with the women crying. Don't, as a leader, sometimes you're going to say things that probably, because women feel words that they don't want to hear, and there's a good chance they will cry. But you can't allow that to be a deterrent of actually doing or saying what is right. So that's very powerful to hear from sisters, that men need to be tough enough to be able to handle a woman crying without trying to avoid having difficult conversations, because we do it all the time. Men avoid difficult conversations with women for that reason. So that's great advice from the sisters here. And we're going to go to our last topic of the day. Okay, the last topic of the day are about boundaries. Okay, we're talking about boundaries, right? A sister was communicating with her ex, and this is what her current boyfriend had to say. Take a look.
So is you gonna do it or what?
No, I'm not doing that, babe. I'm sorry.
What do you mean?
What you mean? Why would I want? I don't want to do that.
You just gave me reasons. Listen.
But listen, you gotta think about it. We had history, right? And if I block him, he's gonna be like upset. He's gonna be worried and wonder where I've been at, what I've been doing.
Why? Oh my gosh! Why the fuck are you worried about what he's gonna be worried about?
What you mean? That's my ex.
So what?
If it's my ex, why wouldn't I be worried? Of course, I still care. Like, I mean, I don't care about him, but like, you get what I'm saying?
Are you okay,
babe?
Listen, if you're not gonna block him, I'm not gonna be in a relationship with you. Why would you even responding to a message that? First of all,
babe, I just don't feel like I should. We're grown enough to not like. We don't have to block each other's exes. Like, that's corny to me.
Listen, I never said that from the jump. You gave me a reason to make him want to get blocked.
Okay, I'm not going to block him though, even if you say it.
So you're texting him though.
I don't care. I'm not blocking him. I'm sorry, because I don't want him to be worried, trying to figure out where I've been at, what I've been at. Like, I still want him to see. As a matter of fact, it's not even like that. I want him to see us. I want him to see how
now you want
I got
me
a good nigga. I got me
you about to lose a good nigga. That's what you about to do.
I'm not losing no nigga first off. I'm not losing no nigga, so don't say that. Don't even wish that.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. If you can't block him right now, I'm gonna have to go drop you off home.
I'm not blocking him. I'm not blocking
all right,
him.
Cool.
I don't care. So I don't know what you about to do, because I'm not blocking him. I don't care. I love you, and I don't love him anymore, and I'm not blocking him. Like, what's the point? What is it gonna do?
What is the point of you keeping him?
That doesn't mean he's not gonna still.
You want him to still text you and stuff and see your stuff for what?
I don't want him to text me, bro. Like, now you're about to get me mad, bro.
I'm getting you mad.
Yes, because I never told you to block your ex. Like,
right? Because I'm not texting my fucking ex.
It don't matter.
I'm not responding to her messages or stories
like
that.
I'm not blocking.
I don't care if you just said thank you.
I don't care. He needs to still see what the fuck I got going on. He needs to see how he lost out on a bad bitch. What you talking about?
You're responding thank you with a heart for what?
What you mean?
What are you responding for? That's your ex.
Okay, I won't respond anymore, but I'm not
No,
blocking him.
if you can't block him, then we're done. I'm telling you.
I'm not blocking him.
Okay, well, all right, so we're done. I'm gonna take
So
you.
you wanna break up
I'm
because
gonna
of
take you home. Yeah, of course. I'm gonna take you home, and you're gonna have to figure out what you're gonna do with your ex.
Now, all right, this is why I'm definitely not blocking him.
Okay.
If you want to break up with me just because of that, I'm not blocking him.
I'm not gonna argue no more. You already showed me your true colors. You a big ass red flag.
Like, you're weird as hell.
Anybody else would say the same shit.
It don't matter, bro. I'm not blocking him. Like, what the fuck?
Okay, all right.
He's not bothering you. He didn't text you. Like,
He
what are you
texted
talking
you and you
about?
said thank you.
It don't
So
matter.
what?
I'm
Doesn't
not blocking
matter.
my ex. I don't.
All right. All right. All right. So the question is a man insecure if he says he doesn't want his woman interacting with their ex? Let's get Cynthia in here.
Ooh, this is a good one. Ooh, okay, listen. All right, buckle up, you guys. Listen up. Listen up. Okay, so I believe exes are exes for a reason. I've had a history of dating a lot of people, and I don't ever talk to them again. Okay, I never had that issue. I learned the hard. I didn't learn the hard way. It's just a personal preference, and I've dated and married someone who doesn't believe that, and they had issues with still talking to them, and I keep telling them, I'm like, that even though they're your ex, they still, they still have innuendos. They have this women. I know women. I am a woman. Like, if they're still talking to you, they still have feelings for you. They're still there. They're still going to want something from you. They either want you, your body. They either want your emotions. They want something from you. And if you're going over there and getting your emotions met over there, then why am I here? You know what I mean? So the roles were reversed here in this video for me. And I always told him, like, you need to stop talking to them. I'm like, they're exes for a reason. It took him 5 years to figure that out, but you know what? We're here. And when we got married, he kind of understood that. And he how do I explain? So we were in addiction before. He was talking to women. He was he was not mature. He wasn't ready for a relationship. He wasn't mature, And once we came back about 3 years ago, he did a whole 360. He's never talked to any of his exes. He's never, he's taking care of his daughter. He goes to work. He does all the things. He does everything. He's my ideal man that I knew who he could be when I first met him. And it's such a beautiful thing because we got all that trauma out of the way in the beginning because he didn't understand. I don't know why he didn't understand, because I couldn't understand why he didn't understand. But yeah, it was horrible. It was we were going through it. I was going through it, and he had all the exes' phone numbers, kept talking to them, and my daughter, he made excuses. My daughters know them. And like, it doesn't matter. They're exes. Exes are exes for a reason, for huge reasons, for getting in the middle of our relationship. Do you love me or not? It sounds like you don't love me very much if you're going to be doing those things, So that, sorry, I'm all shaky because it's like, this has always been a touchy subject for both of us. So there's a lot of boundaries now. He, deleted them all off his phone. He took them all off Facebook, and I'm so proud of him now. Like, he's the man that I always wanted him to be now.
Wow, that's great advice, sister. Thank you for the transparency there. So remember, the question is a man insecure if he doesn't want his woman interacting with her ex?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, so you said, is he insecure if he doesn't want her to interact with her ex?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Is
say
that brother insecure?
no, because that's just crazy. Why are you talking to your ex? That's weird. And the way she was talking about it, she's obviously like still in love with her ex. So why are you even have a boyfriend anyway? And why are you calling him your ex? I don't know. This whole situation was just weird. I don't know if that was like a skit, because like the fact that she doesn't know that that's not okay is crazy to me. Like, why would you do that? Like, and you're like, no, he's my ex. He needs to know where I'm at. Why does he need to know where you at? He got you on Life 360. What is going on? This is just too much. Absolutely not. And like Cynthia said, an ex is an ex for a reason. And you don't do that. That's disrespectful to your new spouse, partner, whatever you want to call them. That's hecka disrespectful. I can't believe she did that. And then she's just looking at him crazy. He should have opened the door and politely put her out. Go your own way, girl. Tell your ex to pick you up. That was crazy.
That's a good perspective. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So the question is a man insecure? Or let's just say, is a person insecure if they don't want their partner interacting with their ex? Let's get Raul in here. Is this man insecure if he doesn't want his woman interacting with her ex?
I'll say in a certain scenario, yeah, it can be, but all in all, I don't think so. But when I say in a certain scenario, I mean like say my wife has an ex-husband that she had kids with, you know, they're gonna need to have some type of communication for for their children to have a secure relationship with both their parents. So that's in that scenario. But if it's anything other than that, honestly, there shouldn't be no strings attached, I believe, because one, like she was saying, you're saying like I want him to see that I got a new man's, boom boom boom. She's trying to pop it, but like that's just petty. If you really ask me, that's just pettiness. And not only is it pettiness, but you're looking for a reaction out of your ex. You have to be if you're trying to show it off to your ex. You want your ex to feel some type of way. And honestly, an ex is an ex. Leave it in the past. Come on now. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, that's a good point, brother. You're saying, hey, if they have children together, then, that's one thing. But if there's no children that they have together, they really shouldn't be interacting with each other. Is that what you're saying, Raul?
Yes, sir.
That's a great point, brother. That's a great point. Very nuanced point. Brother Quran, what do you think? Right? Is a man insecure if he says he doesn't want his woman interacting with her ex? Was that brother insecure?
No, he's not insecure about anything. It's a respect thing, and you should be able to put in boundaries. And there's a thing about the Bible says making your man feel like a king, bringing him up. And if there's always a reason behind everything. Why is she defending her talking to her ex so bad? And she literally said, I think she was fumbling around because she was trying to make an excuse, but she said she cared for her ex. But then she said right after, well, I don't care for him, but, and I think she was just trying to allow the opportunity for her to keep on having that communication with somebody she should have left in the past. When you have this new man, and I don't get, like, same with that last video with the husband who called off the wedding. Why do you care so much about your ex seeing what you got going on right now? Like, that means you still, why do you care about his opinion? He has that much power over you. You still care about him that much? Like, no, the man is not insecure. If anything, he's really testing to see, how much do you care about this guy? Because if you don't care, if it's just, oh, he's an ex, I don't got nothing to do with him, I'll block him right here and now. I won't ever talk to him again. That's how a man would operate if he's really down for it. I'll block her right now. But if you're defending it and doing all that, there's something deeper. So he's not insecure. And she was revealing herself throughout that conversation. So I think he was completely justified to say, after a while, he just said, if you're not going to block her right now, I'm going to have to go and drop you off at home. He was trying to handle that coolly.
That's a great point, brother. You made some great points. Great points. Let's get Sister Angelique in here. Is a man insecure if he doesn't want his woman or his spouse, his partner, interacting with her ex?
No. And that lady's friends with the lady from the guy who called off the wedding video. They kick it. The ex is probably at her house waiting for her to get dropped off. No, I'm kidding. But he's not insecure though. I think people confuse not all breakups with an ex are bad, but just because you had a clean breakup doesn't mean you need to be kicking it and cordial and sending each other memes and, eggplant emojis or whatever they're exchanging, right? But the way that lady, the way that lady was defending that man in that video, it seems like they probably have something going on, or so it's something more. And if she does have a new boyfriend or somebody else that she is with, then she shouldn't be even entertaining her ex like that on any level, unless they have a kid together. Like I think Raul was saying, if somebody had a kid with their ex, that's different. And even then, it needs to be about the kids if you're with somebody new and that's it. I know I have a friend who is, her and her child's father are both remarried, and so they have like a family group chat where they're all in there chatting about the kids, because their child's co-parents are remarried. So that's what I'm saying. So everybody, they do talk, but it's in the group chat, so there's no secret side conversations or anything like that going on. But no, he's not insecure. He wants to know that she's his. And if you belong to me, why are you're not mine if you are over here entertaining another man. And it's like I said before on something else we were doing, a man should never be made to feel like another man has a one up on him. And that man should never be put in a position where he feels like the ex shouldn't feel like he has a one up on her man. So that's just off the rip, like not what they should be doing. And that's what it seems like, because some guys are weirdos, and they're like, even if they're not doing anything with her, then I can still text your girl. It's because it's about the access. It's the fact that he even has access to her, period. That's a problem. So no, he's not overreacting, and he's very justified in wanting to drop her off at home, and probably gonna break it off with her too, as he should.
That's a great point, sister. And you brought us to the next point. Was this man right or wrong to end this relationship? Right? Is he overreacting here, or is he appropriately reacting to end this relationship over her refusing to block her ex? What do you all think? So let's get Cynthia. Cynthia, do you think that this particular brother was overreacting, his willingness to end a relationship based on the access she was allowing her ex to have to her? What do you think?
Honestly, no. Because again, it's where the boundaries are, and if fool me once, shame on me, or you fool me twice, shame on me, type of situation. He was right, all in his feelings of exes of reason, and he was not overreacting. Like, if you won't prove to me that you're here for me and me only, which we signed into our courting and our agreement of being in a relationship together, then you shouldn't be caring for another person who is not part of our relationship. If you want to be a part of that, then go back to that, and
wow.
I feel like he did not overreact. He was setting up boundaries. He was he did exactly what I did. If anything, I'm the one that I kicked him out. So I told him to come back until he grows up and he's ready to be a part of the family and take control of the head of household. And so she's not the neck. She's the foot. So she needs to go. She's got to go. This cat's got to go.
Wow, great point. So Cynthia says appropriate. What he did was apropos. And what do you all think? Raul, what do you think here, brother? Was this brother right or wrong to end his relationship because of this?
I don't think he was wrong I don't think he was wrong for that. I mean, it was a lot of ignorance being displayed from what I've seen in the video. And the attitude itself wasn't very off. Like, it just gave a very off feeling. I don't know. Like, if my woman was speaking on it like that, to me, I feel like, hey, you must not want to be in this relationship as well. So, I mean, it goes both ways. Like, if you're gonna show me that energy, I'll reciprocate it.
That's a
But
great point.
that's how I feel about it. Honestly, he's not wrong.
That's a great point. Raul says he believes the brother was justified. He was not overreacting. And mostly his concern was her attitude. The attitude seemed as an attitude that was not trustworthy. Is that right, Raul?
Yeah, it just gave off like that. She just clearly had no. She didn't care about the respect towards her new man's or whatever she wanted to consider him. Because obviously that's not what she considered him in my eyes. If anything, I feel like she considered him more of a rebound based off the whole vibe. I ain't even gonna lie.
Wow, that's a great point there. Rebound. Wow, great point there, brother. What do you think, brothers and sisters? Was this man right or wrong to end this relationship? Was he overreacting here? Or was he overreacting here? Or was he justified here? Was he being overly emotional or was he justified in ending this relationship? What do you think? Janae, what do you think?
I think he was justified because, like I said, I would have put her out the car and told her ex to come pick her up right now because you're involved with your ex. And then I think, yeah, when she was like, I want him to see what I got going on. Why? So, no, he's definitely justified because she's not invested in you. She's invested in her ex, and she's just using you to make her ex jealous because that means at any point when her ex says, oh, I want you back, she's going to go back. Or if she's not already talking to him like that. So he was completely justified in that relationship.
Great points. Great points there. Let's get Angelique in here. Angelique, and you kind of answered it, but would this man be justified? Or if he ended this relationship because of her refusal to disconnect from her ex?
Yeah, he was justified. He was something to do while while she was working it out with her ex, and the way she was talking to him, she didn't have any respect for that man. It didn't seem like she was considering him at all. She was just, nope, I'm gonna stick to my ex. At least she kept it 100 and was like, I'm not gonna give him up, and she didn't lie about it. But that doesn't make it any better, And I'm glad that she was upfront so that like Janae said, he knows if he wanted to, he could have just put her out the car and told her ex to come pick her up, to come pick him up. But no, he wasn't yelling. He wasn't unreasonable. He wasn't unhinged. She was more unhinged than he was, and that's because she was on the defense. And you're only on the defense if you're guilty. So, whatever, he could drop her off at home so she can continue to be guilty without him. And her and her ex can go live in peace, and he can go find somebody who's actually invested in him. So this ain't it.
That's a great point. Wow, that's a great point, sister. Let's get Karan in here. Karan, was this man justified or was he being overly emotional? Was he being insecure and overly emotional for ending this relationship, or was this the appropriate move to make?
Like I said.
Oh, sorry, brother. Can you? Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said before, I believe that he is not insecure. I think that, and I believe he is justified in making that action if he believes that that's the route he wants to go with, because this woman is not respecting him. She's prioritizing somebody she was intimate with in the past over her current man. And she's making him, he probably feels like, what's a different word I could say? He feels emasculated. Yeah, I'm not gonna say the other word. He feels emasculated. He feels like he doesn't have no say. He doesn't have no words. He can't say nothing. And I know in this scenario, if it was flipped, the woman would actually, it doesn't matter if the scenario is flipped. This is wrong either way. This is a very wrong scenario, and he was trying to justify her making a bad decision, and that's why she was fumbling. That's why she couldn't get it straight. That's why she said, "I care about him," but wait, no, I actually don't care about him. So either you care about your ex enough that you want him to see us, you keep on texting him, you're probably actively texting him, calling him every day when you should be, the lights just flicker. When you should be, over here with me, not worried about your ex.
That's a great point. That is a great point, brother. I would say that the Lord was blessing that brother by allowing him to see how vigilant she was. She was very truculent. That relationship matters to her, and she showed her hand. I think that was God giving him he probably prayed for God to give him a sign if this is not the right woman. And I don't think there's any redder flag than what we saw there. That she was willing to lose her current relationship over somebody she's already been intimate with. If you've been intimate with them already, it's not somebody you should be interacting with. That's just a simple fact. You should not be in communication with them if you've been intimate, and vice versa. I would say the same for that brother. So yeah, I think he made the appropriate move, because, as I think Raul said, it was a lack of respect. The sister does not respect him at all. She doesn't respect him, and he's her second choice. It's very clear. He's her second choice, because she pretty much told him to his face, as Sister Angelique said, honestly, she was honest and says, "I'm not willing, you're not worth me getting rid of this guy. You're not worth it." So, I think he was justified in the move that he made. And I do believe your partner should have a say-so over who has access to you, right? I believe that. I believe a spouse or partner should have control over who you interact with. As simple as that. I think that's on both sides. If a sister says, "Hey, I don't want you interacting with this person or this guy or girl," or whatever the case is, I believe that it should be respected, brothers and sisters. So that was our content for today, brothers and sisters. Okay, it was a great episode of Righteous Reactions, and we'll gather again next week. We want to say Kwam Yasharala.
Kwame Yasharala.
Sin no more.
Sin no more.